Hello, everyone. Hello. I'll go ahead and introduce myself first. I'm Daria. Welcome back to my channel. I'm saying my intro for my videos. That's not okay. The reflex. Today we're here to talk about Shadow and Bone, the Netflix adaptation. Me and my lovely co-hosts were talking in our group chat about like when we wanted to do this. We were like, maybe we should wait 2 weeks so that enough people have watched it. But then we figured we couldn't wait, so we're here now, only like a week after the show came out. So we also all wanted to like match our jewelry to the occasion. So we will be showing off our jewelry. I'm gonna lean in a bit. I don't think you can tell. How do I get this angle? It's like a really tiny sun. Just had to rep my girl. So Sammira, do you want to go next?
Hello, my name's Sammira. I'm over at Blissful Reveries, and thank you, Daria, for having me, of course. And I'm so excited. Also, here are my Sun Summoner earrings. There's like a smaller one hiding somewhere, yeah. And then Darkling Sun Summoner realness.
I love it.
I'm Mariam. My channel is Mariam Reads Sometimes, and I do things over there. I am wearing my sun earrings today, and I'm wearing green for Mal and his tracking in the wilderness. My man. So yeah.
Does he wear green? Is it like a?
I was so confused. I was like, who
No,
wears
just like the theme of him.
Oh,
He's
like
tracking in the woods. Yeah.
Did that without even meaning it. Okay. The mouse stand in me jumped out of it. Okay, so hi, I see a bunch of people coming in. Hello. So we have a very loose structure today. We're really just like being super chill about this. So the first thing that I thought we would talk about is just sort of like our general feelings about the show. This part is going to be like non-spoilery, although the entire live will have spoilers. So, yeah. So like, what did we think of Shadow and Bone as an adaptation? I think YA. I feel like adaptations are so hit or miss. Like we've got like the god tier, like Hunger Games. I don't know how they managed to get Jennifer Lawrence in that. I really don't. Like to this day, I'm like, how did they swing that? Because she like just came off an Oscar nom or win or something. So, and then we have less fulfilling adaptations. That there's so many I'm blinking.
One comes to mind.
multiple come to mind?
So
Jackson.
The thing is, like, the first movie, like, if I just watch the movie and I only watch Logan Lerman, I'm like, this is, like, so good. Yeah. Like, top tier. But then with Sea of Monsters, I couldn't deny how bad it was. I was like, oh, no.
Let's not get into it because you know me.
Okay. So, yeah, what do you guys think of just, like, looking at it as an adaptation? How do you think they did?
I think they did really well. I mean, like you said, I feel like this probably was like above and beyond even Hunger Games, because Hunger Games was like the top tier of book adaptations, but up until now we've only really gotten big screen adaptations. So not only was this new in regards to TV adaptations, but also like it's hard to compare because like I said, Hunger Games was big screen and this is small screen. But I feel like I don't know what sorcery they did. But when Leigh Bardugo said that we are adapting it so true to story, also making it into something new, that was very concerning to me. But like after watching it, I'm like, wow, she was not lying. And they did so well by staying true to it while also making it something new. So like everyone like us who's read it over the years, we know what's gonna happen while still being surprised by like the new stuff that they sprinkled in. So I'd say wonderful adaptation.
Obviously I loved it. I ate it up about 3 times already. I hesitated a little bit when you said that you think maybe it's even better than the Hunger Games, but to be honest, thinking about it just a little bit more, I would probably say the same, just in terms of casting itself and also in terms of making the story better and making characters better, because like all of us hate Gale. Gale was no better in the movies than he was in the book. So, but in comparison, Mal, obviously. So just like those changes and stuff like that, I think just made it all the better. And I loved it, honestly. I would give it like a 8-ish out of 10. I think like there's room for improvement, but it was really, really good for the first go.
Yeah. I'd have to second what you guys were saying. I would have to say that I think maybe Hunger Games and Shadow and Bone are just like on par for me. I wouldn't say that one's necessarily better than the other. I would say that one thing that I think they could have done a bit better is maybe like slowly introducing like new viewers to the world, because like with any adaptation, you've got the built-in fan base, which is great, but then you also want something that has like a mass appeal. And I was watching it with my mom, and I was having to pause it like every few minutes in the first episode, explaining to her.
Same.
You know, for the longest time, she was like, "I don't understand. Like, what's so special about the Darkling?" And I had to explain like that shadow summoning was so rare, and like all these things and amplifiers. So I feel like if you didn't have someone like us, like a reader there to sort of guide you, it was going to be really hard, because regular viewers aren't going to go to Instagram and like look at, you know, the orders that they had, like those posts. Like I think they were great, but you know, if it's not integrated into the show, you lose a little bit of that like general audience. I think that was like a mistake. I think also there were some moments that I think like just felt a bit, I don't know, like I want to say campy. Does that make sense? Like some things were
definitely.
some writing was a little cheesy. And the actors did their damn best trying to save it. Bless them.
Yeah, exactly.
But like I think it really was casting. I think that I don't know who the casting director is, but hats off to that person. You did a great job. And I think also, like you guys mentioned, like there was a lot of like retroactive fixing of certain characters and plot lines. I think because the stories in the show had been the books have been out for so long, you could gauge fan reaction, and then you're like, okay, people don't like this, they really like this, so let's fix this and then make sure we include that. So I feel like they also had that kind of advantage, whereas like when you're writing a book, you don't know how people are going to respond. Like you just write the story and then put it out there and hope people like it. So I feel like I don't know if it's true, but I read somewhere that Lee, especially with Mal's character, because you brought him up, she was like, I wanted to do this, but I don't think I got my point across well. So we should change this and this so that people get the point I was trying to make with his character. If that's true, I don't know if someone in the like comments who's watching like can link us to that article if it's true, but I think that definitely like was a really big bonus with the adaptation, and why so many people are like, it's better than the books. Which do you guys agree with that statement? Let's get controversial early on. Do you think it's better than the books?
Yeah. The fuck?
It's not even controversial anymore. It's popular.
It's not.
No, it's not. I feel like it's very agreed upon.
It's very evident.
Yeah. You can tell with just like the mass influx of videos titled "Why Shadow and Bone" on Netflix is better than the book. Like I've seen so many like videos with a variation on that title. I'd have to agree. But like I said, like, they had that advantage of like being able to look at reactions and like how the story has kind of like affected audiences, and then change things as they wanted. So yeah. Okay. I thought that was gonna be a debate. Everyone's like, nah, it's better. Like,
Can I quickly add on to something that you were saying earlier before I forget?
Go ahead, of course.
Okay, so what you were saying about like having to like pause every couple minutes and explain to your mom and everything, I completely. Oh, you want to answer that?
Oh no, I was.
You want to answer that question?
I don't know how to check StreamYard. I will answer this question from Claudia afterwards. Okay. I'm sorry, Mariam. I just like pop up.
Okay, no, it's okay.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
So I was just like thinking, like comparing this adaptation to The Witcher, because I haven't read the Witcher books. I didn't know anything about those books prior to watching it, and I absolutely loved it, but it was so confusing. So I feel like the approach that Netflix is taking as a whole towards like their adaptations and like their fantasy adaptations in particular, I feel like they are really trying to like bring in those book fans more than anyone, because they know that that's just a solid foundation for a fan base and for like the success of their show. So I genuinely feel like they are trying to cater towards the book fans first and foremost, and then just kind of hope that everyone else goes along with like the buzz and everything.
Yeah.
That's actually a really good point. I didn't consider that. I also remember watching The Witcher, and I think someone on Tumblr or Twitter posted like a timeline for like all timelines and explained it, and I was like, oh, okay, thank God, because I was so confused.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
but that's exactly how the first Witcher book is with like the short stories. So it made sense for the book adaptation, but like watching it as a first time viewer, I was like, what?
Mm-hmm. I feel like Netflix is very much of the mind, like, we'll let the viewer do the work for us. They're like, they're big
Exactly.
companies. They're like, we don't need to promote, we don't need to like explain, like, they'll just pick it up, they'll get it.
So to add on to that, so I know kind of like what you guys were saying about the timeline with Witcher. I myself also had to ask my friend. She didn't read the books, but she played the games, and she was like, okay, so these are different timelines that are gonna merge together. Oh, I would not have known that. But also another question that like a lot of people, like my friends and like my family, when I watched it with them, Shadow and Bone, I know in the episodes it was really helpful that they show like what cities they're in. But I wish they did some sort of like Game of Thrones sequence where they show the map. So that we kind of like know what's going on, because I had a friend that was like, okay, I know the fold is there, but what's the significance? Like, why is it such a struggle? I'm like, okay, well, the country is literally split in two. So East Ravka doesn't have access to the supplies and like resources that West Ravka would have, because that's where the whole other side of the world is. And they're like, oh, I wouldn't have known that. I was like, yeah, I wish other than the first episode when Alina's in the orphanage, they have the map, but I mean, it's in Russian or whatever, so we wouldn't know what exactly is going on. So I wish like either in the introduction or something, they would have like a map sequence so everyone can kind of see where everything's located. So yeah, I feel like that would have helped as well.
Like a Game of Thrones Avatar mix of like, once there was a Ravka and West Ravka, like the map and stuff.
To be honest, yeah, that would have worked. Yeah, my mom was literally so confused, like between the different sides of Ravka and how like West Ravka has all of the access to like the other countries. Like people can come from other countries to West Ravka, but then they have to cross the fold to East Ravka. It was just a whole thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. And add into that, like, Fjerda and Shuhan. My mom was literally like, what? She's like, what's a Fjerda? It's like, ah. Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot. Even like me, I only recently like read the King of Scars duology, and only then did I really understand the beef with Fjerda and Shuhan.
Yeah.
And that, you know, so I don't know if you can expect like that level of understanding from someone who's just watching the show and not really doesn't know anything going in. So, yes, very valid points all around. Okay, so let me jump. There were like a couple questions I wanted to answer. So Claudia, I haven't read. Are we gonna get into like stuff about maybe towards the end?
Maybe, yeah.
I think towards the end we'll sort of do like predictions and theories, but I think I'm gonna tentatively say that you should be good for this. We'll let you know when we're gonna talk like theories and spoilers, predictions and stuff. Question. And there we go. Oh no, I don't know how to work this. Sorry. Karina, I haven't read the books. Oh, that's okay. I'm excited. Who's their favorite character? Who would like to start?
From the book?
From the book.
Let's do books versus the show. That's a good idea to separate. Let's do that.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I have to think about the show really hard. For the books, I have like an automatic answer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
same.
Is it like who we think is the most interesting or who we love? Because that's like I feel like that's different. See, we're just asking more questions.
Let's not make it too complicated. Just who comes to mind first.
Okay.
Okay, I can go first.
I think I have my answers.
Yeah.
In the books, it's Zoya Nazyalensky all day, every day. I love that woman. I'm severely attached to her. I love that we saw like in the trilogy, all you get is this like mean girl who like seems to flirt with everybody, and then as the books go on, you start to learn so much more about her till you get to Rule of Wolves, and you're just like, yes, that's a queen right there. The show. To the Darkling. Nobody look at me. Nobody look at me. I'm sorry. There is a lot of personal bias there. Like it is Ben Barnes, but very. I think close second is Jesper. Jesper just like he surprised me because in the books, I hate to say this, he was a crow that I enjoyed, but I didn't like actively like seek him out, look forward to his pages and POV. And then the show is like, where's Jesper? Jesper can fix this. Jesper can make this better. Get Jesper.
Literally.
So,
literally.
Who likes to go next?
Sammira.
Okay. So from the books, I have to agree with Daria. I love Zoya. I feel like her character arc from like the first Grishaverse book, even up until King of Scars, her character development is just chef's kiss. That's what I love about characters in books. That's what I look for. So she's like an instant in my mind. Also Nina, I don't know why in my mind, like I separate the two series, but Grishaverse, I'd say Zoya, and then Six of Crows, I'd say Nina. But the show, Jesper, hands down. Like you were saying, I appreciated him in the books, but like I feel like he didn't really have much weight, maybe. Like he was in there, but like he wasn't really integral to the plot, maybe as much as the others would be. But the show, if he's in there, he will make the situation better, whether it's comedic relief, whether it's his skill, like, yeah. And the fact that he was the last person that they casted, yet he's one of the most fit of the character, I was like, okay, I love this. So yeah, I think he would be my favorite from the show. But also I love the Nina, Danielle as Nina too. I think she did really well as well.
So assuming we're only talking about the Shadow and Bone books, like the Grishaverse trilogy, whatever, I would just say Nikolai. Like I'm waiting for that man. Like he really just carried. Like I want to give him a massage for how he carried that series. I know his back is hurting. Yeah, like he's genuinely like one of the only characters that like I genuinely loved in that series. If we're talking about all the Grishaverse, obviously Kaz and Inej like tie for me as like number one. I am the number one Kanej stan, but yeah, Nikolai, if we're just talking about that. But for the show, hands down Jesper, he carried the show, just like how Nikolai carried the Shadow and Bone book. Jesper absolutely carried the show like on his back the entire way through, and he was just the comedic relief. He brought so much just like light and like flavor and flair and camp, like you were saying earlier, to the show, and it was just everything. Absolutely.
Yeah. And the fact that we have Milo because of him is also
yes.
Yes.
I was like, those writers know their fandom, throwing that goat. I think especially of that scene where like, what is it? Like everyone's heads are turning. I forgot when, and then he just like shut up. Like they know us so well. So yes, I think like ultimately, if we're polling everyone, Jesper was like the MVP of the show. And then Zoya and Nikolai own the Grishaverse books,
valid.
as they should.
Yes.
Yeah. So someone mentioned it's going to be a casting challenge to find Nikolai. Ooh. I feel bad for that boy. He's going to get ripped apart by so many people, no matter who he is, no matter what. I feel so bad for whoever that man is.
Yes. It's going to be absolutely insane.
Yeah. I think sorry, go ahead, Sammira.
Oh, I was just saying, based on how nervous we were for casting just for this season and how well they did, I feel a lot more relieved, but also I don't envy them having to find someone for him. So
also, I feel like also based on the casting, like for this first season, I feel like it's someone who maybe we're gonna be like, at first, but who's really gonna like come out swinging. I can feel it.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard because like I feel like people like sort of forget that like the look matters, the haircut, the makeup, the freaking like this privateer outfit, like everything.
Yes.
So even if you look at the headshot and you're like,
exactly.
Like, once you get in that uniform, like once you start speaking, and like charming the pants off of everybody, everybody will be like, oh, okay, yeah, good choice. Yeah, I think.
Yes.
I'm very excited. And I wonder. Oh, that's getting into predictions. Hold that thought. I'll mention it at the end. Let's see. People. Oh, I think we can answer this one, and then we can go into like character by character, like I said we were gonna do. What's your favorite ship? Johnny and David. Yes, I do know that. I love them as well. They're just like so. They're such a breath of fresh air. Like when I see them like pining after each other, I'm just like, oh wow, thank you for that. Like I feel better now.
They're probably the softest ship.
Exactly, the most wholesome.
Yeah. It's like a mutual pining, but like not in an angsty way, like in just like cute way of like, oh, like we're gonna get together.
Yeah.
So yeah. Mariam, do you want to speak as the resident Kanej shipper?
I mean, from the show, like if we're talking about like what's our favorite ship from the show.
Should we do books and show again? I think like we're gonna have to do a lot. Go ahead.
Yes. So Grisha first books as a whole, obviously Kanej, like we've been new. From the show, I think Kanej and Malina are tied for right now.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
Okay.
It was the letters. It was the letters.
That's bold.
It's bold.
It was the letters. Yeah. No, I like letters are my kryptonite, and like those letters in the True North, everything like decimated me. It was giving everything. So yeah, just for right now, don't get too crazy. Kanej is still coming out on top in the end.
I was like, I feel like the more seasons go on, the more we get into like Six of Crows timeline Kanej. I'm like, they're gonna own Mariam. They're gonna own everybody.
Oh yeah.
Yep, really breathe Kanej even more than now. I don't know. I feel like this is such like an underrated ship in my opinion, but I'm Hellnick all the way.
And you're valid.
Like
you're valid.
They were everything.
The books of the show are both. Like you're in love with them for both.
It's safe to say for both because I feel like the 2 episodes we got, this is not spoiler, but like the 2 episodes that we got was everything, or maybe ocean. But like the adaptation was really good. But show-wise, I wasn't really a fan of Malina in the books, but I feel like they aged like fine wine in the show. Like you said with the letters. The letters were, and like I liked Mal a lot better in the show than the books.
Yeah, they changed up the recipe. The show changed up the recipe when it came to Mal and Malina. It wasn't even the same bottle of wine. Like
we
took off top shelf for the show. Like we'll leave the boxed wine for the books. Once again, I'm gonna say something. Spoiler if I say what I want to say. I feel like we've already talked about it. It's Zoya. I truly like my favorite ship, my best ship. They literally are everything that I want. In a couple, I love men who worship at the altar of the girl that they love. Like, and that truly is just like Nikolai. That really is. No spoilers for Rule of Wolves, but like what that man did, I was like, oh, okay, yep. As if I couldn't love you anymore.
I'm excited to read it.
Oh, I can't wait. And then show. You know what? I'm gonna say it with my whole chest. I'm gonna say it proudly. Darklina. I love mess. I love chaos. I love toxicity. I love it all. In my fantasy shows, I will ship anything and everything that has chemistry. Like if it has chemistry, I'm like, yeah, okay, go for it. So yes, it's Darklina for me. They just hit different. They really like once again gave us what we wanted, and like I appreciate it, but I also am like, if you're gonna follow the books, that's fucking offensive. Like you may be even more invested, and now you're just gonna do this again. So I don't appreciate that. Yes. So that's the answer to the question. Is there? Let's see. A lot of these are like asking about specific things. Should we like move on to like oh, actually we can answer this one since we already talked about what's our least favorite couple. Let's get controversial. Everyone's gonna say Darklina. It's okay. Should we do books first? We should do books versus the show again. So
I have to think about the book.
I know.
yeah.
Well, not. Never mind. It's Darklina for both. I'll just say it. I'll say it.
I thrive off it.
It's, yep. Yep.
I commented this on Mariam's Twitter, but I was like, we literally are just like the UN of like Malina Darklina. like
Okay, so here's the thing. Let me just defend myself a little bit, even though I don't have to. I'm gonna do it anyways. So I really was, like I said this in my video that I did for like my pre-thoughts about the show and everything. I really found Darklina and like all of their everything very interesting, like in the beginning and like, or the first like 75% of the first book. I found it very interesting. I found the Darkling very like mysterious and broody, and like I wanted to figure him out. But like once we figured him out, it was down the garbage chute. Like I was just out of there as fast as I could have been. And so just like, you know, like knowing the feelings that I have for him for like the entire rest of the series has just like soured the taste of the character in general for me. And so translating that to the show, like going into the show, first of all, I love Ben Barnes. I love what he's brought to the character. You know, you could analyze everything that he's brought to the character that wasn't in the books and everything. But it was just so obvious to me, like his intentions and like that he was the villain from the very start. And it just kind of didn't give me that same allure that I had in the first book with like loving his character first and then like hating him. So yeah. I was just very much in the middle about him in the show. The war room scene, it gave a little bit, but it ultimately wasn't like, you know, it didn't sway me in any way. And then obviously he's trashed by the end. So it's I just look at the big picture and he's just not it for me. And so the ship is therefore not it for me. Thank you.
I obviously disagree about the war room scene, but that's okay.
Okay, yeah. That's fine.
Right. Sammira, did you want to
okay, are we doing just show or both show and book?
If you have a different one, that's
okay.
Like,
so for the show, I'll agree with Mariam. Darklina was my least favorite just because, like she said, like overall, because we know ever since his intentions were like clear, it's like, oh no, this is toxic in a bad way. Like, I know, like, we like to see toxicity, but, like, this was toxic in a bad way. But then in the books, I was, like, the small percentage that, like, just shipped Alina with happiness. Just because I feel like Malina as a whole was done a lot better in the show. In the books, I was not a fan just because of, like, certain reasons behind it. I don't want to get too into it, but I think the way he was handled in the show, he was a lot more mature about his choices, maybe the way he went about certain things than in the book. The book, he threw temper tantrums left and right, I feel like. But yeah, that's why in the books, I didn't really want her with anyone. I was like, girl, whatever makes you happy. With all the trauma you went through, just do whatever makes you happy. If whoever you end up with makes you happy, good. Fine for me. But yeah, in the show, Darklina was my least. And then in the books, both of them. Both of them I did not like, but yeah.
Are we going just the Grisha trilogy? I'm guessing, or are we saying like anybody?
Ooh.
We were just talking like Grisha versus like just Grisha trilogy ship, so I'll do that.
Yeah.
In the books, most hated Malina. I think it's because I've said this before, but he represents like a trope that I personally have a vendetta against, which is the best friend who doesn't realize how great his friend is until someone else shows an interest.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that was definitely Mal. And I just I didn't like it. Like that trope particularly pisses me off. Yeah. So I just not a fan. Not ever a fan. In the show, I actually have to think about this. Hold on. No, yeah, it's Darklina. I don't have to think about it. I don't know why I thought about it.
That's a shock.
Wait, what?
I know.
Wait.
Please
Hold
clarify.
on, wait, I need an
I
explanation.
thought we were talking favorite. No, stop. I was like, why is that surprising? I've talked about it. I was like, what did I say? I feel like I'm being consistent. I'm being very consistent. No. Backtrack. I never said that. If anyone screen records this and put it on Twitter, I never saw it. I never said it.
I'm going to be the one that screen records it.
Every single time I tweet about Darklina, you're just going to reply with
what did she say?
What is my least favorite ship in the show? I don't know if I have one. I feel like I enjoyed all of them to some degree.
That's fair too.
Yeah, even I mean, I can say a ship that I think is underrated, Ivan and Fedor. I think someone mentioned them in the chat.
Yes.
I love that.
Yeah.
That man might not be dead. Is he messy? Yes. Did I not agree with his points all the time? Yes. Did he try to kill Jesper and that offended me? Yes. But his relationship with Fedor redeemed him. When he fed him that whatever it was, cake thingy at the fate, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we love a man who's
so cute.
One other man. So yeah, I'll say them as an underrated ship that I still really like.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Cool. I still can't believe I said that. My heart. I took 2 anti-anxiety meds before this. I don't know why. Because I have anxiety. Why am I saying? I don't know why.
Yeah.
And I still my adrenaline just shot through the roof. Okay, let's see what people said in Ivan and Fedor. Darklina slaps. I agree. Let's see. Kanej had so much chemistry. The scene where Inej gives Kaz her knives held such intimacy. Let me put that up on the screen because I agree. I very much agree.
Amount of times that I have watched this, it's insane.
Yeah.
I'm the reason we're gonna get season 2 renewal.
Mariam goes back and she watches a different finger every time. She's let me watch Kaz's left thumb in the scene.
Frame by frame.
Is hers oh no, yes. It's a little. It was also. I mean, I don't know because you guys. I'm guessing Mariam knows this better than me, but was there ever a time where he would I don't know brush up against Inej with his gloves or give her they would have that hand contact even with the gloves on, or was he still careful about it?
In the show or the book?
I'm sure with other people in the books.
He was definitely still are you talking about with Inej only?
Yeah, I'm talking about Inej. With everybody else, of course, he's don't fucking touch me even with the gloves on. But with Inej.
Okay. I honestly can't remember too much, but I just remember I mean, kind of spoilers for Crooked Kingdom, I guess, maybe. But I just remember he just kind of went from not being with it at all to being so desperate to prove that he has feelings for her. So the bathroom bandage scene in Crooked Kingdom, I don't know if there was much build up to that point or if he just kind of went for it. But yeah, so it's kind of just like that. Yeah. But I just thought Freddie played Kaz, his internal struggle with wanting to reach for her and wanting to do things help her with her injury and stuff. but like not being able to. I thought he played it so well.
Yeah. He was
yes.
Truly, I think about like all the time. I think about how like badly he wanted to play Kaz to the point that he couldn't read the book because he was like, I would have been heartbroken if I didn't get it. Like literally, the fact that he ever thought he wouldn't get it, like I could not imagine anyone else. Like I just think that's so sweet, and it like definitely shows in like the show how much everybody like is invested in the books and the characters. I don't know about you guys, but like I don't think I've ever seen that from another cast for an adaptation. Like I don't think anyone like praises this material has read it so thoroughly and really loves the characters like the does. And I feel like that is definitely just like makes them so much like so much more attuned to the characters. So
I think Henry Cavill was kind of like that with Geralt. Is that his name? I think he was kind of like that. Like he was like super into the video games and everything like that. Yeah. So I think he's probably that's the only one that comes to mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very true. Very true. Let's see what else. There's an extended edition of the Winter Fate theme. Where can I find it? Where can I see this? Is it like
for real?
Drop the link, please.
How extended? Like, is it like another few minutes, or like they added a couple seconds of something? Either way, we would like to. So, yes. Let's see. Okay, wait for Nadia to meet her future wife. Yes, that was like the first thing that I said.
Yes.
For Nadia, I was like,
girl, just wait.
Yes. I'm just so ready for Tamar and Tolya. Like,
yes.
I'm so ready for them. They were definitely a highlight of the series for me as well.
They carried along with Nikolai. They truly carried.
Yeah.
And I liked how like they were kind of this like representation of the very like devout religious to the point that like that was all that they cared about. There were times where like it was like, listen, if she's out, we're out. Like we don't like, we like you guys, but like that's where we're invested. What I thought was a really interesting like perspective to show in the books. So I love them. Okay, I think lots of people just like weighing in. Did I miss the Darklina versus Malina debate? There was a mini version of it. We'll get to it. Oh, let me put that on screen because I don't think people can see it. Yeah, we'll get to it. We had a mini version, but we'll get to it. Okay, let's see. Should we start with what we said we were going to do, which is go character by character, and then we can like hit all the stuff that people are talking about in the comments, because I know a lot of people are asking about like
yeah.
So let's do that. Let's start with our main character, because who else? Let's start with Alina. What do we think? Miss Jessie served. What I think.
She served. Like, because Alina just really didn't hit for me at all in the books. Like, she was very much just there. Things happened to her. She didn't really have much of a role in the things going on around her. And I just think that Jessie just brought so much agency to the character. She brought so much personality, and I very much enjoyed Alina a lot more in the show than the books, but she still wasn't really my favorite character.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
Sammira?
I mean, Mariam said it all. I'm like, yes, very that. But yeah, I truly feel like she brought so much to the character, and especially like just adding more weight to her, because I know in the books this was very like jarring to me. I did not remember this, but she narrates the books, so which we do get sort of that, but I was like, okay, she narrates the books, but that's basically it, just her like adding commentary. She's not really engaged with what's going on. Stuff's just happening to her. Whereas here, I like that she would like actually take matters into her own hands and like actually try to do something about her situation. And like she also had like a mind of her own, because in the book she would like very much listen to what people were telling her. I don't even know how long it took for her to have her own opinion in the books, but yeah. But yeah, like in the show, yeah, I feel like she stood her own But I mean, she wasn't my favorite, but I do really appreciate how she adapted the character and made her better.
Yeah. I feel like they did do a service to her character by not making it in her POV or not centering her too much and having other plot lines, because I feel like this happens so many times with main characters. They tend to be the most hated. And I thought a lot about why that is, especially if they're girls. Let's be honest, there's the misogyny element, of course. Because like you are experiencing the world through their eyes. So if they're kind of like this vessel. So if they do something or say something or think something that's dumb, you're going to be like, duh. You know, it is like there is this extra pressure because we see all facets of you, especially your flaws. Whereas with like a secondary character, we just like don't see that much of them. So we just enjoy them whenever they show up. But yeah, in general, I do like her. I don't know if I should say I liked it, but that edition where she burned the maps and basically it's kind of the reason that her unit got killed. Like that was some heavy shit, and I actually wish that they talked about it more because that was her fault. Because and I really wish that we'd seen more of that like grief and that guilt from her. But yeah, I feel like in the books she definitely like everything, like you said, Mariam, happened to her. Whereas in the show, like I think especially that scene where she asked Genya to erase her mark, like while it was painful how Mal was like trying to come after her, I think it was important because like in the books, if I'm remembering this correctly, it was like, well, if he's not going to respond to my letters, then yeah, maybe I should just like, and like so it really wasn't even a choice. It was like, oh, so he's not going to respond, so then I'll do this because that's not happening. But in the show, it was more like her listening to Baghra and really taking that moment to believe in herself and be like, okay, I have like denied this power because I want to stay with Mal, and now it's time for me to explore it and see who I am really on my own. Which I think whether you're a fan of Malina, no matter what, like that was a really good decision for her character.
It was.
So I really like that.
And like them saying like you can't need anyone or like you shouldn't need anyone to believe in yourself. That was also like a very much parallel between the books, that like she very much needed people all the time in the books. Whereas now it's like, oh, I have to embrace the fact that like the only person I truly need is myself. Yeah. So I can't depend on anyone else. So I like the fact that they played more into that or like showed more importance to that in the show.
Yeah. And if I'm remembering correctly, when she left the little palace, like Mal was with her from the beginning, wasn't he? Or when did they run into each other? I can't remember.
In the books?
Yeah. Did they meet up or did they run off together at the same time? Or
so
he does come to the little palace. I don't remember why.
I think it's because... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I don't even know what I was about to say.
I was just gonna say that, like, I could be wrong about this, but I was just gonna say even her choice to like leave and run away, like she thought, I'm doing this on my own. No one's gonna help me. Also, that time where she like burned somebody's eyes, like another moment where she just like, harsh and dangerous and almost like, what the fuck, Alina? And I really want us to see like more of that. Like, I have this power that can hurt people. I have this power that can be dangerous, and I've used it, and I've done these things that have gotten people killed or permanently injured. I really want to see that like struggle from her. And I just really would like to see like her sort of like. Actually, I'll talk about this later. I'm not gonna get into that because it's a whole other thing. But yeah, I would like to see her grappling with that guilt and shame of that stuff.
Yeah.
Anything else about? Oh, someone just said that happened in the books too. Okay. Yeah. I figured. Is there anything else we want to say about Alina, or should we move on?
Move on.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about Mr. Malyan Oretsev. We'll talk about him next. Who wants to go first?
Miss Mal Stan, would you like to take the stand?
Okay. Okay. So, I famously did not dislike Mal in the books. I just read them for the first time last year. I had spent a couple of years hearing everyone's disdain for him. I genuinely thought that he like did something really, really big and bad in the series because of all the comments that I was hearing towards him and just the reviews of the books and everything. so when I read the books for the first time, I was like, okay, first book down, I kind of like him. Let's move on and see what's going on. Like, I was really keeping an open mind here. And so, mind you, I didn't really care about any of the characters. Like, I just liked him a little bit more than everyone else did, but like, I still didn't really care that much. So then I just finished off the series, didn't really see where the disdain was coming from still. And so, like, I don't know. It's kind of complicated. I just feel like he was just a teenage boy. Like, he was dumb. There's some moments that I'm not going to defend him. He's a character. He has flaws. And there was a lot of miscommunication going on between both him and Alina. So, like, yeah, he's dumb. He's a dumb teenage boy. But I didn't find him to be egregious in any sort of way throughout the entire series. But I just knew that Archie was just going to bring something different to that role, and that he did, because I just remember, like, when the casting news came out, he came onto Twitter and he was like, I'm going to make y'all like Mal. Like, he was tweeting all sorts of stuff. He was like, I'm defending Mal. I'm going to play this role. And that he did. Like, he genuinely brought so much to that character. It's actually insane. First of all, I really enjoyed that. I just lost my train of thought. What was I about to say?
I'm filling in the blank. Is that what it was? That's why I like
completely lost it.
I'm just like inserting my own opinion.
So I really just loved everything that they brought to, like, their backstory and all the flashbacks and everything. I'll Meet You at the Meadow. Never been done before. Absolutely amazing from the very beginning. It was cheesy in some parts, and like, yeah, like, childhood best friends to lovers, like, that's gonna be cheesy. So I ate it up, absolutely. The letters and everything. I think, like, the best thing that the show did was showing Mal's point of view throughout the entire process, because I genuinely think that he did everything that he did in the show in the books, but it was just completely off screen. And like, Alina's not really gonna, inquire into what he was doing this entire time. So there was really no way for us to see that. Also, we didn't really get to see much of his interactions with people other than Alina. And so we just got those interactions between him and her where they were miscommunicating a lot. There was a lot of pettiness and everything. And we weren't able to see his personality with other people other than her. We weren't able to interpret it in other ways other than how she was interpreting it herself. So just getting all of that, like his personality and everything from all those interactions, his two best friends that died. Oh my God, that killed me. That I cried at that scene so hard. It was insane. And just seeing the lengths that he was willing to go to for Alina throughout the entire show was just so amazing. It just brought you so much sympathy and empathy for this character. And I just think that across the board, like, the portrayal and how the character was written was close to flawless in the show. And the best thing that they did, and they changed and everything.
Yeah.
Yes.
So like, I'm not necessarily, I wouldn't say that I'm a Mal anti, but I will say I didn't like his character in the book. I liked it better in the show. And I will elaborate as to why that is. So in the books, like you said, he's a teenager, which, I mean, in the show, he's also a teenager, but
I don't know if they aged him up. Not sure.
I know, I don't really
I thought they were like I thought they aged them up.
Yeah,
I think so, but they didn't really get into that.
To be like 19 to like 20, 22-ish.
Yeah. Especially the crows.
Early 20s, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Especially with the crows. Because, like, the crows. No, you're good. Like, especially the crows, because they're like 2 years after, but then now, like, they're same age. But yeah, so in the books, his reactions, that's the thing. His reactions to certain things, primarily the first example that comes to mind is when he sees Alina at the palace for the first time. And he's like, why are you wearing the Darkling's colors? Like, they're just embracing you, blah, 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 blah. And so he was just making it all about himself and how much he didn't like who she was becoming. And it's like, hold on, let's pump the brakes. Let's see, like, how she's feeling about all this stuff. Like, you just came in. But then, like, in the show, one, I really like the fact, like you said, we get a Mal point of view. I really love that we got not just his point of view, but, like, other people other than Alina, because he gets more weight now, and like people get to see what drives him and his decisions, and like when they meet up again, like whenever they have their interactions based on like the different events that happen to both of them, at least that way we have a backstory to him. And also another thing that really made me respect him and like Archie's portrayal of Mal was specifically the instance when he's like, you don't have to explain anything to me. When Alina was like, oh, I have to like
so good.
tell him, she was like, I have to explain to him like this, because she's so used to not necessarily answering to him, but like he's like the person she always looked up to and always had as a support system. So she's like, oh, like he's gonna judge me for like all the stuff I've done. And I was like, that's something that Book Mal could never do, because he was making it all about himself. Whereas in the show, the minute he said, you don't have to explain anything, I said, oop.
That was such a good line.
Man is being born, because I was like, okay, that's man quality right there. The fact that he was like, you don't have to explain anything to me. Like, I know you went through some stuff. And then the fact that, and then when she was like, are you scared of me? And he says, no, I'm not scared of you. I was like, okay.
Yes.
Another point to you, sir. Because again, Book Mal could never. But yeah, that's why. Those are that's the evidence that I have as to why I will defend Show Mal. Like, we're not going to talk about Book Mal, but Show Mal, I will, like, go down with a fight and say that he's a lot better and more mature and more respectable than Book Mal. So, yeah, that's why I was like, okay, we're not going to talk about Book Mal, but Show Mal is where it's at. And, like, I respect him and I love him as a character.
So I'm going to be a stereotypical white man and play the devil's advocate.
Not
really that much. Not really that much. No. I totally agree. I think that I don't want to give too much because I do have a video coming out literally entitled Book Mal Could Never. So I really went like line by line, because when I first read the Grisha Trilogy, I think I was definitely fueled by this fandom hatred for Mal. So I went in thinking, oh, everything he does annoys me. So I decided to reread before the show, and I was like, okay, let me just like, I was already like picturing Archie, and I was like, he's so cute, he's so sweet. Like, I really feel like there's going to be something different. So I was like, let me just empty my brain of all my preconceived notions and go into this blind. And I still found him incredibly annoying. I didn't like him. I think that a lot of people have said, like, that line that you talked about, like, you don't have to explain to me. They were like, well, Mal eventually was like, told her like that thing about like when he was in the jail cell or whatever, like you could have danced on the roof with him naked. I wouldn't have cared. But the problem is that for so long, he'd already been like judging her and being super hypocritical. Because, sir, you were sleeping with people too, all the time, all the time. And so at that point, when he kind of turned it around, for me at least, like it didn't matter. I was like, you've done enough. Like, I don't like you. But the fact that like Archie's mouth came quick with like, you don't have to tell me anything. It's fine.
No hesitation.
That was why.
It was so quick.
Yes. Okay. I see. We have a feminist in the group chat. Yeah, so it was really great. Once again, Mikhail and Dubrov, loved that we got to see their POV, because like once again, Mal's just sitting there telling her like, yeah, my friends died. It was really sad. And I was like, so I never liked them. I never like the only thing I ever knew about Mikhail and Dubrov is that they were like, oh, are you gonna sleep with a bunch of Grisha girls, Mal? In the beginning, like that was the only thing we saw of them. The way that I would die for them, the way that I died when they died.
When they packed their bags and we were like, oh, you thought you were going by yourself.
No! Oh my God.
That was so good.
That was so sweet.
Yeah, it's really good. And what do I say? I would say controversial. Here's the controversial opinion. Looking back on it, I'm not so sure about the meadow motif constantly being brought up. Was it cute? Sure. But like the fact that it was like nearly every episode, like the meadow, flashback into the meadow. And I'm like, I get it. It's like a really important thing for them. It's when she basically chose Mal over a potential future in her power. But the fact that it was constantly being brought up, I was like, can't we see more Genya? Can't we see more Genya? Like, can't we, like, we get it, the meadow's important, we get it. But like, it almost got to the point that I feel like they were hitting me over the head with it. And I was like, listen, I'm on board. Like, you made the changes you needed to make. You don't have to keep going with it. Like, you know? So that was honestly something that bugged me. But other than that, I enjoyed him. Like, is he my favorite character or like a super standout one to me? No. But he didn't piss me the fuck off like he did in the book. So job well done. Yeah. Like, truly.
Exactly.
I went from like here to like here, and that's a big jump. Like,
so which is
happy. Perfectly
amazing
happy.
in and of itself.
Yeah, the fact that they could turn me around like that is wild.
And I think they play on the fact that we feel bad for him because I think literally every episode he gets hurt.
Oh my! This man had 9 lives.
Plot armor.
I was like, man can't take a break. Every episode he's in.
When you saw his injuries, I was like, prosthetics department was too good. I don't want to see that again. That was
that was gnarly.
But the fact that he was like the Energizer Bunny. I was like, But yeah, I think they made
it. Theorize about why, but I'm gonna leave that to the end about theories. And I think it makes sense to me. So we'll leave that to the end.
Yeah.
Okay. So we any last thoughts? Any last preachings? Okay, cool. Let's move on.
I love him. That's it.
Here we go.
So Mal, I love you.
Here we go. It's my time to shine. Oh, I also don't want to give anything away because I'm making I'm making a video talking about like the Darkling and the changes because they made changes with him definitely. And once again, I think Ben even reading the book back once again, I said I went with a clean slate, and I was like I think I said this before to you guys, but the Darklina that I like in the books is like my own like headcanon version of Darklina. It's not even the Darklina on the page, and I think I really recognized that when I was reading the first book because I was like, the manipulation is there in every moment they have. Like it is very much him. I wouldn't even say pursuing, like going after her. And I think, and it's always in Alina's mind where she's like, oh, I like this, but I also don't know. And like the dynamic was just off in the books. It really was. Like, once again, Miss Lee Bardugo, love ya, but that was a rocky start, Miss Ma'am. That was a rocky start. In the books, like they changed it so that like every like romantic moment was very much Alina pursuing him. And kind of like, I mean, in a sense, Mal and the Darkling, any love triangle, it's not even it's choosing between a love interest, but also choosing between what kind of life you want for yourself. And he sort of represents the choice of opening yourself up to being powerful, to belonging, not only belonging, but being the best, being the most powerful, being the one. And I like that they had, like, even if you don't like Darklina, I think it was a very interesting thing to have her do. And necessary. So, and I love power hungry, like unhinged women. So like the idea of a dark Alina, like just speaks to my soul. It really does. I also just think the Darkling, let's talk about his backstory because I was actually reading Demon in the Wood, which I don't know if you guys have read it. It's like a prequel about the Darkling.
Yeah, I didn't.
Okay. So essentially it's just like the Darkling is a young boy and him and Baghra, basically they're having to constantly like run around every few months. They're changing where they live, who they're with. It's a lot of him being like, he never uses his real name. There's one part that I absolutely love where he says, I'm worried I'm going to forget my real name. And his mother says, you know, it's tattooed on your heart. And you should keep it a secret, which leads to, we'll talk about that later. And it's very much like, he's just like a little kid who has no friends, who is constantly afraid, who is being hunted. His mother actively makes him not trust anybody because she's like, not only are we Grisha, we're this type of Grisha that people are scared of even more. So never tell anyone anything about us. And Baghra I was like kind of pissed at her reading that book. I was like, bruh, like let the kid be a kid. Like he gets in trouble for hanging out with other kids. Like fuck. And I actually felt that way about Show Baghra. That I'm gonna be honest, I wasn't a huge fan of like, oh my girlfriend died, so now I'm sad. I'm like, why? His backstory in the book was enough. Like it isn't. I feel sympathy enough for a kid who is constantly on the run, who can never trust anybody, who is always hunted and hated for who he is. Like that was enough. You didn't need to do the whole like, oh, let's introduce this woman only to kill her so it can motivate a man. I didn't like that. Like I think his motivation for wanting to save the Grisha is enough. I feel like people, because we're set in this time in which the Grisha are the top dogs, they forget that he had to fight to get them to that place, and he sees fear as a weapon. He's like, I have to be more powerful. I have to scare them, and I never want to go back to that state of. So I don't think he's wrong. I feel like in the show, I very much get the idea of right motivation, wrong execution. And that's why I like really do like villains, because I feel like villains and heroes, like Alina and the Darkling, like they want the same thing. They want to protect the Grisha, but they have such different ways of like going about it. And that's really like interesting to me. That's really intriguing to me. And I think it would be interesting to see Alina, like she even said like, oh, they're going to start hating me. And I was like, what if they did? Like, what if people gave her, what if she went through something similar to the Darkling? Like, would she end up the same way? I need to get off my soapbox. I just like keep yapping. But anyway, I just think he's very interesting. I think Ben Barnes very much humanized him. I like that Alina was the one with the agency in the relationship. I think he definitely played himself and fell for her like a dumbass. But does he care about her more than his own desires and power? I don't think so. I think they almost go hand in hand. He's like, Alina equals power, power equals Alina. And almost because he's lived so long and has such this like warped idea, he doesn't understand why Alina wouldn't want to join him or do these things. Like and I think that's the issue. Like he doesn't understand it completely because he's lived so long and done so many things that he's like, this isn't that big of a deal. Which I think is interesting because he's like, he does care. I think he does, but he cares in this specific way that he cares, which objectively is like not great. So like objectively, yes, it's toxic. Do I still ship it? Yes, because that's why I go to fantasy. I'm gonna be honest. Like when I read fantasy books, I'm like, I want the tension, I want the drama, I want that toxicity. Like I read my contemporary books and I don't want to see any of that shit. I hate it. Yeah. But like fantasy, I'm like, okay, give me the spice.
Exactly.
Give me the spice that I would never tolerate in real life. So yes, I really went on for such a long rant. I'm so sorry, you guys. I just really got started.
It's okay.
Go ahead. I'm so sorry. Like, I genuinely apologize. That was too much. I always tell myself, like, no, that's too much. Like, let other people
It's good to see, like, what your point of view is on it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So now, rebuttals, please.
Well, like, I recently, which, good decision on my part, because I couldn't remember a single thing that happened in the book. So I actually reread the trilogy before the show came out. And one thing that I noticed specifically in the first book was how much he manipulated her, like emotional manipulation, like emotional abuse, where she would just let him do stuff to her, especially in the end when she finally before he puts the collar on her, she just like let him like kiss her, even when she specifically was like, I don't want this, but she just went with it. But in the show, I like that not me talking about Alina right now, but like I like that he was very much more black and white in the show, where he didn't really try to play on her emotions. He was just trying to play on her morals more than her emotions, like emotionally manipulate her, I guess. Specifically, like when she's in the tent after she has the collar, he's still trying to like convince her, but not try to force himself
it's almost her. Like he's questioning, like, why don't you get it? Like, I thought you would get it.
Like
he genuinely doesn't understand why she doesn't think the same way as him, which I think is different than, like, I'm sorry, I interrupted you again.
No.
In my feelings about the Darkling. Okay, go ahead.
I like that it was more of an intellectual debate in the show versus like an emotions situation, because like I feel like her emotions clouded her judgment a lot in the books, but I like that it wasn't him playing on her emotions. He actually like was conversing with her as an actual person. So like in the books he saw her as like an object, whereas in the show like he actually like would sort of debate with her. Like he actually respected her enough to debate with her, which I really liked. The fact that he did that, the way he portrayed the Darkling to make him more human, because everyone was putting him to such a high standard. Whereas with Alina, who is this nobody in the beginning, like she's the only one that can get him to actually like argue. He never argued with anyone. So I like that aspect. And I like that it wasn't as nearly as toxic as in the books, but it still was there. It got the job done. So yeah.
And it also makes for good TV because like I saw so many reactions from people, even my own mom, who was just watching it and didn't know anything, and was feeling I feel so betrayed right now. And I I feel that way too. Like in the books, you're like kind of expecting it. You're like, yeah, this dude's shady, like sort of from the beginning. But in the show, I would not blame anyone, especially after episode 5, the start of episode 5, like really falling for him. And I think that was such a great decision. And yeah, it was good. I'm almost jealous of the people who got to experience like show Darkling, and then get the rug ripped out from under them.
Also, when he saved her from the Fjerdans too in the show, I liked how it handled a lot better.
That was sexy.
That and like the fact that he was like explaining to her like, oh yeah, I can understand where you're coming from because I too also had the same. Oh, there we go.
Good.
I was like, oh no, I lost her. But yeah,
no, the light is doing weird things.
But I like that he actually had a conversation with her. And, like, I like that we got to see that in the show. And it was just, yeah. I like how they handled the Darkling a lot better in the show than in the book. That is my end scene.
I've been trying to, like, get my thoughts together. Because I do agree with y'all. Like, and especially, like, to the point where, Daria, you were saying, like, you just love the spice and the toxicity, enemies to lovers. I felt that a lot more in the books, and especially like in the first book, like I said earlier. I felt that a lot more in the books than I did in the show, to be honest. I'm very much like underwhelmed by the Darkling in general. Like I just don't really find him as interesting a character as everyone else does, and I think that that's fine. You know, it's whatever to me, honestly. But you know, I do get the points towards him and everything. But in the books, I remember feeling a lot more like back and forth with my thoughts towards him, because you know, in the books, it's like, yes, he manipulated her at the end of the first book and everything, and like he was manipulating her the whole time and everything like that. But I felt a lot more of the passion and a lot more of like his feelings for her in the books, especially in like Siege and Storm. I had a lot more like back and forth with like that. But obviously by the end of the series, I wasn't fucking with him at all. But in the show, what I find really interesting are like the visual cues from the very beginning, because Ben Barnes very obviously is older than Jesse, and like the Darkling is so obviously older than Alina. And so I felt like it was very, very interesting, a lot of the stuff that they did. Like one of the scenes where, I think it was the scene where she kissed him for the first time. She kisses him, and then he like kind of stops leaning on the desk and like goes to like his full height and like looks down on her. And I was like, that's interesting. And just like a lot of the things were like, it kind of put it more into place for me from the very beginning to realize that there was a power imbalance and, you know, stuff like that. Like, I do think that Ben Barnes played a more sympathetic character. He kind of had a little bit more emotions. He had a little bit more vulnerability than what I remember personally. But just like those visual cues and everything from the very beginning, it kind of put it more into place for me for that betrayal towards the end, and for that manipulation and him like literally forcing her down to like use her light powers at the end. And also, we're not talking about this just yet, but like the collar, like the way that it literally went and like it was literally within her bone. Like it was such an invasion on like her bodily autonomy. And I just thought that all of those visual cues and everything were just a lot, like it was just a better setup for like the villainous part of him in the show for me. So it kind of led for me to have less, I liked him less throughout the entire thing, to be honest, like as a character.
Yeah.
I get it. I think I think it's interesting that you like preferred it in the book, because I think like in the books it was almost like he was wanting her against his will. Like, what was that thing he said? Like, wanting makes us weak.
Yeah.
Like
oh yeah.
And I hate that. that wasn't really like that. Like Ben's Darkling like wanted to be with her. He wanted them to be this like power couple. He wanted them to like do this stuff together in his way, but still he wanted them to be like together. Whereas in the books, it was almost like, I hate that I'm getting feelings for you, and I hate that I have this like attraction to you because I thought I was just gonna use you, and now there's I don't know if that dynamic appeals to you more, Mariam, in like a fantasy book, but if it like I totally get like what you're saying, and it's just some characters hit for some people and for some people they don't, and it's just like
exactly
is what it is. Okay, are we all anything else to say about Mr. Darkle Sparkles?
The one last
absolutely
thing, the
not.
only time
the Nichi Voya. Oh, shut up. I was like,
that was good.
That
they look scary. They look fucking scary.
Yeah, like I was gonna say, the only time I was genuinely like excited about the Darkling and the entire show was just when the Nichi Voya were shot. I was like, oh, we are in for it now. So he's like fully embraced the unhinged.
The
I was like, yes, I'm here.
I don't know if it's a season 2 prediction, but it's just naturally a question to go off. Do you think that he's gonna still have those like black marks on him next season, or was that just is it something that they're gonna?
I hope so.
If anything, even if they get rid of them, I hope he still has like a scar there or something. Even if they feel it. Ooh, I was like, oh,
that would make him more interesting to me.
Yeah.
I
think he's gonna have the scar, not necessarily like the dark marks, but I feel like he's gonna still have the black veins on his neck.
I hope so.
So I think the black veins, but still have residual scars on his face. So
that would be good.
Listen, I don't know if the prosthetic department or makeup is gonna hear this, but keep the scars. We all want it. Keep it.
The scars in the scrub.
Yes. Okay, cool. Let's move on to the crows. Let's talk about Jesper. We already talked about how much we love him, but let's discuss more about him. Anything to say?
Who's going first?
Just an icon, like truly an icon. Like he is everything. He is the moment. Like, I think it's so cute how much Kit wants Wylan to show up. He's like, I want my person. I want my other half. The fact that he was so emotionally invested in Milo the goat, I was like, that man is gonna worship at Wylan's altar. I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see it.
It's gonna be so good. Like, honestly, I feel like it really speaks for itself, like, what he did with that character. Like, he is Jesper. That's the thing. Like, he just brought so much, like, of a natural feeling to that character, to the point that he was just so obviously the best one there the entire time. And, I mean, genuinely, like, you know, best casting that could have ever been done. And it honestly was a surprise for me. Like, you know, I wasn't sure, you know, here or there on the casting. I was kind of like, you know, they should have cast a darker skinned actor, because obviously that's a thing. Like, Jesper is darker skinned, like that's canon. And that was pretty disappointing to see. But Kit just brought so much to that role, and it was absolutely amazing. And props to him. He's really, I'm excited to see what they're gonna do with his character, like in the future and everything. Also including like his scenes with that stable guy, like that was amazing. Absolutely love it here. Gay rights, bi rights. So yeah, love it.
And also, I think that speaks to, I still cannot believe that he was the last person to be casted, and he's like the perfect embodied, like he is the character, and even the cast themselves said that he's the closest to their character when they were asked that. And like, I think that also speaks to the fact that when they were saying in regards to casting, yes, the representation played a big role, but also Lee wanted, I don't know how much say she had in the actual casting, but she said that they were more.
I don't know how much power they have.
Yeah, but I know
I think she was just in the room.
Yeah, I honestly
because she's like one voice in the room. So like if she got vetoed, like if she got outnumbered, then she.
Yeah, because she said
Yeah.
they were looking for more of like the person having the essence of the character, and if there's not, he is like the best example of that. Like he probably, like, out of all of them was the one we least expected, maybe, other than Alina, but he truly embodied the character so well. So I feel like it paid off in the end. I feel like so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? I don't know, what was I gonna say? I was gonna say something and I completely forgot. Oh, I loved all those like subtle hints to him being, oh, can I say this? It's a spoiler. His true identity, I'll say that.
Yes.
The what are you?
Yeah.
I was like, yeah. And he was just like, no. I loved that. I loved that. Yeah, go ahead.
He fixed Kaz's cane in the end.
I know.
So that kind of brings me to like I mean, we're an hour and 15 minutes in. Like, I'm sorry if y'all haven't read the book.
Okay,
it is. But it was interesting because like a couple of things within like the Crows' dynamics and everything were very interesting to me because, okay, we have that thing at the end with like him fixing Kaz's cane. Do they know that he's a fabricator?
Exactly.
Also, I realized it's a very, very small, like, kind of throwaway line towards the beginning with Pekka Rollins, but Jesper already knows about Pekka and Kaz's backstory because he asked him, "Did he recognize you?" And Kaz said, "Like, if he did, I would be dead right now." And I was like, "That's really an interesting choice." So does Inej know? Like, do they all know each other's secrets already? We have no idea. Like, it's really interesting to me, like, to see like what they're gonna do with it in season 2.
Especially because like one of the lines that hits the hardest for me in the entire season of Crow's duology is when Kaz calls him Jordy and he's like, "Who's that?" I was like, "Oh, shut up!
Good.
Oh, you better shut the fuck up." So I don't know, like I'll miss that line. I don't know if they'll be able to use it anymore.
We'll see. I mean, we don't know yet, but we'll see.
Yeah, maybe Kaz told him a lie. Maybe Kaz just told him like, "Yeah, I just made a deal with him." Maybe he didn't. I don't think he. I hope he has the full truth. I hope so.
Yeah.
Because that's just such a good moment. Because like I remember thinking up until that point, I was like, why doesn't Kaz realize how much Jesper, like, obviously there was like the initial crush, which actually, let me pause. Do you guys think there were hints towards Jesper crushing on Kaz in this season?
Maybe if you really look into it, but I don't think that's going to be like outwardly revealed until later on.
Yeah. But I just remember reading the books and thinking, like, why doesn't he, like, feel, like, why is he being like this to Jesper? Because, like, and then I realized he was so harsh on him because he's, like, scared to lose him in the same way, that he does think of him like a brother and is just extra harsh on him because that's almost the way that he expresses affection. And I was like, oh, you better shut the fuck up. Jesper's just incredible. He's great. He's so good.
Yeah.
The show made me appreciate him, a lot more.
Yeah, a lot more, yeah.
Definitely. I love that he's being like a fan favorite too. I love that for Kit.
Yeah.
The last one here, most beloved. I know that's right. Okay, cool. So let's move on to Inej. Yes.
Stabby queen.
Yes. Knife wife.
Nice wife.
Nice
You want to start, Mariam?
There are no words when it comes to Inej. Like, the character herself is just like never been done before. Like, absolutely amazing. Just from top to bottom, amazing character, amazing development. What she stands for, like her religiousness and just all her values and everything throughout the series and how they showcase that through the first season. Just absolutely amazing. And Amita is Inej. Like, that casting is the best casting I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, she is just Inej. Like 100%. And it was just, I can't even imagine being Lee Bardugo and seeing your character come to life like that. There are no words for it. And so, yeah, best girl. Love her so much. Yeah.
That speaks for itself. Also, when Lee met the cast, I don't know if I misheard this, but when she saw Armita, or like when she saw them for the first time, didn't she call her Inej? She was like, "Oh my gosh, Inej!" Didn't she say that? I feel like she did.
I don't know.
But I know
don't know.
I couldn't really hear.
She saw a scene with like Amita playing Inej and like bald, which like I would too.
Because I
she
feel
saw
like
her first audition.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
It was her first audition.
Yeah, like, I think when she first met them, she was like, "Oh, Inej," and I almost.
Oh, I love that they got the meeting on video. It was so cute. It
was so cute, so heartwarming.
Yeah, it was great. Like what else can I say about Inej? I don't like. Yeah, I agree. I love that they showed her. I love that she got to meet Alina. Oh my god, I love that. The fact that she named the knife after her and like actually know that she's real.
Yeah.
I better get more scenes with them. They should write letters to each other. Hey girl, what's up? How are you doing? How's the war going? You know, I want that really badly. And also just once again the fact let's bring up the first kill because that was insane.
So good.
So good. And the fact that it was to protect Kaz, like no thoughts, head empty. No thoughts, head empty, no hesitation. And she was like, I killed a man. He was like, but you saved my life.
I loved seeing that development firsthand so much because like I just think that in general, like I don't think we're talking about this yet, but just saying like in general, the way that they incorporated the crows and the prequel material was absolutely amazing.
So good.
We haven't talked about Kaz yet. We'll get there when we get there, but just like seeing them not be as fully developed as they are in the book and seeing them come to that point, like seeing the journey to that point. Because in Six of Crows, Inej is killing people left and right, like she does not care. But seeing that in the show, and it goes together with her values and everything.
Yeah.
And so like just seeing that journey and everything, and like how after that kill, like it was a little bit easier to make other kills, but it was still really hard for her.
Yeah.
I just love it. I love to see that development like visually, and yeah.
Yeah.
And like in the books, I think Kaz was saying like he was talking about Inej, and he was like when she made her first kill, she cried for days. And I was like, okay, we knew that from the one line that we got in the books, but the fact that now we have context that it was to save him.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's another thing. Like I had no idea how they're going to incorporate the crows into the show because, like I said, they're supposed to be 2 years after. So I was like, okay, we're probably getting like prequel material. So it was nice that we still, as readers, got to see little snippets of things we've seen already, kind of hinted at, but actually being present time in the show. And I think like that moment with Inej and Alina, like I think the last scene that they have, and she says, if you need anything, my hand is yours. And then Alina says, here, I like it better with a knife. And then Inej says, I know just what to name it. I freaked out. And my parents were like freaking out about it. I was like, because she has like Alina after her. I was like, we have story now. So yeah, I love the fact, and also, okay, this might be theory, so I'll hold on to it for whenever we talk about theories.
Yeah.
But yeah,
sorry. No,
but yeah, that's it.
Yeah, going off of Mariam, like when she killed that Inferni, I like that there was still that hesitation. Like she was like, I don't want to kill her, but then when there was a threat, it seemed like she almost was taking a page out of Kaz's book, and we're seeing that that sort of desensitization to killing, where she's like, okay, well, if you're going to like, if you're going to like come after me like that, then fine, I'll just kill you.
And she was like, the Inferni, she's dead. I said, ooh. Past Inej would never say that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that was so good.
It was really, really good. And what else can I say about this? I feel like there's so much more I want to say, but I'm blanking.
Yeah.
Every scene with Tante Helena, I was like, don't even look at her. Like,
yeah.
I don't want you. I like you. Like, I hated it. I really hate that woman. I really do. But her taking off all her knives, that was hot. So I appreciate that.
That was a good scene, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Are we ready to talk about Kaz? Let's do it. Okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's Okay. Once again, Freddie Carter, light of my life, incredible. So happy that he got the role. I remember when he was announced. I think he was the casting that everyone was like really excited about.
Oh, yeah.
I think him and I mean Ben was. People were excited because it came as like a shock and was almost like a fan cast come true. But like everyone looked at Freddie as cast and was like, "That's perfect. Like that's gonna be great."
Yeah.
Yeah. So. But I feel like maybe that almost might have brought its own pressure because like, oh, everyone expects me to be this guy, so I better be this guy. I don't know if he felt that. But Kaz is so well loved and probably I would say the most popular Grishaverse character in general. And so there was a lot of pressure on him, and I think he delivered. I think that we spoke about this in our group chat, but I know Sammira and I were kind of wondering if maybe he was a bit too soft.
Yeah.
And then Mariam, you had something to say about that. Do you want to share? Because I know you were kind of hinting toward it before. Do you want to go ahead?
Yeah. So even for me at first, I was like, this is an interesting choice, you know, to have him. First of all, Freddie is very like soft-spoken in real life. So I think that also translates to his character, but I don't think that it's out of place because I actually like that his portrayal of Kaz is more just like Kaz is very internal as a character in general, but I really enjoy that, you know, Freddie's Kaz kind of just like sits and watches and kind of contemplates and he takes things in and he's just very cool, calm and collected no matter what it is. Like I really enjoyed that. But specifically with like him and Inej's relationship, it was very much like they had a lot of lines, which, you know, shippers love, but a lot of people, and you two included, were a little bit hesitant towards that because it's such like a slow burn. Like Kaz and Inej as a couple are the definition of slow burn, and it's, you know, it matches with their characters, it matches with like their traumas, they're trying to overcome them the entire time. And so I understood people's like hesitancy towards, you know, accepting like their lines that they have that are like borderline romantic. But for me, I kind of interpreted it as like, I mean, Inej was always on the brink of like leaving him and leaving the job and, you know, not understanding that Kaz cares for her. Like, you know, even in the books and everything, like we have like she's an investment to him. She doesn't believe that he cares for her at all and everything until way late in the two books. But there was really no other way for them to translate Kaz's feelings for her because he's so internal, like so internal monologues throughout the entire series. And everything that Kaz says in the series would come off as so rude in the show. And I think that for general audiences who don't know this character as well as we do, it would have just been like, fuck this guy. Like, what's his problem?
Yeah. He called her an investment. So, like, all the book fans would have been like,
exactly, she's an investment.
And everyone else would be like, the fuck?
Exactly.
That's so, he's horrible.
Like him in the books, he's like always, you know, he's thinking in his head, like, oh my God, Inej, like I need her so much. But what comes out of his mouth is like the opposite of that. And he doesn't really know how to, you know, word that and how to just come out and say the things that he's feeling for her. And so I think that they translated it really well in the show because it's always when, like the moments where he says those lines to her, it's always when like she's getting, you know, angry at him and she is feeling, you know, underused, not appreciated by him and everything like that. Like she's about to leave the job. She's, you know, she's not agreeing with his plans and everything. And so I feel like it was, you know, it matched his character for in those moments, he has to say something. Like he's desperate to let her know that he appreciates her and that he values not just her and her skills, but, you know, her as a person and what she brings to the team. And so that's how I interpreted it. I think that it perfectly matched his character. I think that they did his character really well. And also, on the other hand, a lot of people were saying he's a little bit weak. And I felt that way as well in the beginning of the show when he gets ran up on by Pekka Rollins. I was like, King, don't let them get you down like this. Stand up. Like, what are you doing? You know, you can't just let him like, you know, do you like this. But I felt like that also did match his character, and especially like prequel material wise, I thought it's gonna be like, for the show and for the viewers of the show, it's just gonna be so much more interesting to see their story down the line. And how that plays out, because maybe that was the inciting incident where he's like, I'm not gonna let him, you know, run up on me like that again. Like, I'm not gonna let him catch me off guard like that again. Like, it's not gonna happen. So I saw that as more an inciting incident, something for us to look back on when we get more of that storyline.
Yeah.
I agree. I think that meeting with Peggy Rollins was crazy. I remember I lost my mind. Even watching it again with my mom, I was like, oh, and then she was like, what?
Like his casting too. His casting was perfect. I said,
it was interesting. I didn't picture him like that, but it worked.
Exactly. Like, I don't think I really had an image in mind when reading the books, but when I saw him, I was like, oop, I know who that is right off the bat. But I believe, same as what you said. Like, I think the reason why he doesn't seem like the Kaz we know from the books, because this is like prequel. So he's still like trying to get the ropes of like having his crows, living up to the image of himself that he's portraying to other people. So he's still like trying to like grapple with that and like come into himself in regards to who he is, the bastard of the barrel. So I think that's like pretty on character considering this is the prequel. I think the reason why I think this like also speaks to, I think we've talked about this, how they had to sacrifice certain things for the sake of dramatic effect in the show. I think this is like a prime example of that. That like first episode, he's like, no one's like you. That's why like I'm keeping you as like an investment. Last episode, he was like, I need you to stay around. And so like I think him being so vocal is because we don't get the internal monologue that we always got in the books. So he like sometimes had feelings like shown in the books for Inej, but it was never like outright spoken. So I think they did need to, I guess, sacrifice that in the show just to keep the people that haven't read the books invested, because obviously we've watched the books, we've read the books, but people that I watch the show with, they're like, oh, are they like, do they like each other? Like, is there something going on? So I think that's like how the show is able to introduce that notion to people who don't have any backstory to that. My thing was that I understand why they did that. I just don't know what stakes are going to be introduced to make him more self-conscious about such public proclamations in regards
that's what I was telling you on the group chat the other day. I feel like he didn't go too far with the things that he said. Like, he said, we need you, whatever. But I feel like there's still room for him to backslide, which is a common, it's something that commonly happens when you're trying to get through your trauma and everything. You backslide, you have to, work your way up to that point again and everything like that. So I think, like I said, like there could be other inciting incidents for him to develop more as a character. He's probably going to become more brutal and stuff because of something that happens, and that could also lead him to backslide in his relationship with Inej. Like, there's a lot of things that could be done. So I don't believe that it's like just like a upward slope. Like, I think there's still going to be like some rocky situations and some interesting stuff thrown in there.
Also because he is so like not sure of himself yet in this place, like it means that he relies on Inej and Jesper more. He is more vulnerable with them. But once I feel like he settles into his like bastard of the barrel, like top dog kind of persona, he's probably gonna like shut in a bit because he's like, I don't need to like I just show them how much I rely on them anymore. Because I've already like reached them. So I think that's also a way that they can explain it. And like Mariam, you mentioned, like the things that he said to her could also just be interpreted as like a boss to his employee. Like, I need you. You know, I invested in you because you're one of a kind. You're just like a business venture. So like they have that romantic weight because of the way that they played it, the music, the way that they looked at each other.
Exactly.
But it could all have a double meaning of like you're just an employee.
Exactly.
Kind of a thing. Which I think was smart of them. And I didn't notice that until you mentioned it, Mariam.
Yeah.
So what else about Kaz? Yeah. I like that we didn't see his hands. I think that was such a great like
with the
directorial
choice.
I literally was like, we're gonna see his hands, and then they went away. And I was like, oh, okay, good. I like that.
It was really interesting.
Very, very great choice. I think just like that scene, like the hints to his touch aversion, like we were talking about before, how like when Inej dropped down and was bleeding, he kind of like locked up a bit. When he was dressing the wound, he was just kind of like staring. And yeah, just like all, and like even those moments where she was like doing like, what was it, like the acrobatics thing, and he just like, was staring at everybody else while they were looking at her, which I thought was hilarious. Just all those like subtle like indications of like who he is and how he will be in their relationship and stuff, and how he thinks of Inej. Also, I don't know if you guys saw, there was like a Zoom call or something. Was it with Entertainment Weekly, like a roundtable thing with the whole cast, and Freddie like straight up like he talked about how Kaz feels, and he said something along the lines of like, Kaz doesn't really like understand the feelings that he's having for her. He's never had them before, and so he's just very confused. Everyone go watch it. It was great. Both Amita and Freddie talked about like their feelings for each other. It was great. Amita was saying that Inej sticks around because he is like one of a kind, and there's no one else like him, and she feels the same way. And I was like, shut up. So they're great. I can't wait to see more of them. I'm glad that we confirmed pretty much that they're not going to be smooching. I was like, if that happens, that's
literally
there'll be riots in the street. These will be riots.
That's not happening.
So no, not at all. I was like, you can't like. The peak romantic moment of their romance is a handhold. You can't just go to a kiss.
And the
like,
hands in the face too,
Yes. So I think like basically with all the crows, there's a lot of room for them to grow because we're meeting them so early on.
Exactly.
And they definitely aged them up, because if we're going based on like they would be like 15 like right now. There's
Absolutely
no way
not.
anyone looks at Freddie Carter and thinks that's a 15-year-old boy.
Exactly.
No. Like if you told me 20, I'd be like, okay, but nothing less than that.
Granted, Freddie is like very like kind of lanky. Is that the word? Like he's very slim and stuff. And a lot of people I've seen online were talking about that as well. Like they didn't like him to be portrayed like that. But I'm like, in the books, like I know he's brutal in the books, and he's a bastard of the barrel, dirty hands. Okay, but he's 17. You think that he's like this man? Like
I
no,
never ever saw him as like a butt. I always thought him as like a pretty twiggy, like a twig boy.
Yeah.
I always thought him as like maybe lean. I never really. Even in the fan art, he's pretty like pretty thin. He's pretty thin. You've got Matthias for the muscle. Like there's a bat. Like
exactly. Like he's not supposed to be like physically menacing. It's just like the things that he's done, his actions and everything like that. Like his reputation is what's menacing, not technically like his physical appearance.
Yeah, like that's the whole point, is that he doesn't look physically that scary, but he is. Yeah, if they made him buff, that would have completely negated his character. Those people are dumb. No. Since I mentioned Matthias, should we talk about Matthias? Are we good? Anything left to say on Kaz?
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about the crows that weren't featured too much. Okay, I am starting a petition to get like Callahan and Danielle into interviews. Where are they?
I swear.
It's gonna be good. Yeah,
I don't know,
I'm excited for them to.
The chemistry, I'll be like, oh, how cute! Block.
I was like, I should not be watching this. This is like intimacy on another level. I don't want to watch it. Like when they.
Oh wait, it's kind of lagging.
Yeah.
Oh, did it freeze? I was basically,
Okay.
Can you hear me?
You're good now.
Okay. I was basically just saying that, like, their intimacy got to be too much, where I, like, felt like I was intruding. And it just, like, was too, I was like, nah, I can't.
Yes.
I shouldn't be looking at this. Like,
Yes.
ooh. I mean, so many of their quotes, I guess we'll talk about Nina and Matthias in one. Because, so many, like, their scenes were basically just lifted straight from, like, Six of Crows and, like, the flashbacks.
From it.
Yeah. It was.
I thought that was a really good choice, honestly.
Yeah, truly.
Yeah. Especially because they had such little screen time in compared to the other two storylines. I was like, if you guys tried to like make some shit up, I don't think it would hit as hard. Yeah, I think, was it mentioned in the books that moment where she fell through the ice and he saved her?
Yep. Yes,
Okay.
it did.
Okay.
Was it?
It happened. Yeah.
Okay.
I can't remember.
Yeah,
but either way, that moment of like, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, just like everything. I love how like we were saying that the Crows are getting their prequel. Everything was sort of like kind of made up. They took like creative liberties, but like the fact that we got the actual backstory of Nina and Matthias, when I saw what they were trying to do, I said, oh, we're gonna get this live action because like they finally get to have like screen time, because like in the books it was just a flashback, so like now they actually have to have some weight to it. Like all the quotes were exactly the same, the banter was exactly the same, the chemistry was there, it was beautiful. It was, I'll see, like, y'all had your soapboxes about Darklina and Malina, and here I am about Helmig, so
I love it.
Go on.
I love it.
I'm just like, because like I feel like there's such a underrated ship out of all of them, because like I know there's like Kanej shippers, there's Wylan and Jesper shippers. I'm like, where's the Helmig love? And so I love the fact that, and like I know Nina's casting was something that everyone was really uncertain about as well. And like again, sort of like Jesper, they were looking for someone who had like the essence of the character, which honestly I feel like Danielle was perfect for Nina. Like everything, the way that she portrayed her was just spot on. Like the banter, like how strong of a, I don't know, it was just everything I could have asked for and more. Like every time they would like show up on screen, I was like, okay, I need more. When are they coming back? And like the fact that they changed up the way that Matthias ends up getting taken by the what were they called?
The Grisha?
Well, it was the same the
slaver. By the slavers, so like in the book, she like they were just passing through, and then she was like, "Ooh, here's the slaver, please take him," and then that's like the last she saw of him. But I almost bawled my eyes out when she went down to the cell and tried to like talk to him, because she didn't do that in the books. Like she saw him getting taken away, and that was the last she saw of him. And like the fact that he was trying so hard to just tell him like, please, that was not me trying to do this stuff to you. Like after trying to like, get your trust, like I would never do that. And he was like, oh no, it's already too late. And I was like, wait, is this where it's going, where I think it's going? And then the guy was like, oh, we're not going to the ice court, we're going to Hellgate. I said, ooh. I was like, we're getting the breakout scene. And then like after that, I was very confused because like I said, we don't get that interaction in the book. But then when she came up on deck, the upper deck, and then she saw like Inej, Kaz, and Jesper, I said, ooh!
That was so good. That was such a good note to end it on.
Oh my god.
But also I was like, why are they boarding a slaver ship? I was like,
I think it was just a ship to Ketterdam in general.
Okay.
It's like all inclusive. Anybody needs to get there.
I was like, this is kind of suspicious. Why are they boarding a slaver ship? But yeah, I love that we got that introduction, because again, I was like, I wonder how they're going to incorporate Nina and Matthias, because they aren't necessarily needed by the Crows until the whole ice court situation, which as far as we know, that had nothing to do with the show. So the fact that we got him being taken to Hellgate, and then now that she like got introduced to them and she's gonna speak to Kaz, be like, Kaz, I need to break this man out of Hellgate. Anyway, that was just everything. I'm so excited based on like the few things that we got in the show. I cannot wait for what we're gonna get, hopefully in season 2. So that was my soapbox, everyone.
Loved it.
What was I about to say? I was about to say something.
Please.
A lot of people. No. I really liked. I loved them actually. I loved their inclusion into the show. I thought it was really well done. What I was gonna say is I've heard like some criticisms over how they were like intertwined into the show, and it kind of didn't really match the other 2 parts of the story. I've heard that from some people. But I honestly think that even if it's not obvious how it ties into the story as a whole at first, I think that it was really good world building material throughout the show, because we got to see because we see in like the Shadow and Bone side of things, Grisha, and they're like on their top of their game and everything. But then in Nina and Matthias, we see the bad side of it, where, you know, Grisha have this history of being oppressed and everything. I will say I think the development was a little fast. Like, I know it had to be for like the amount of episodes they had and everything. So I think that that's like a criticism that I can kind of agree with, was like it was a little fast. So I hope they make it a little bit harder for a Matthias sort of redemption in the future seasons, because he does need to be redeemed. Like, even though he was kind of indoctrinated into this lifestyle from a young age, and like that's a very interesting story, it's not great. You know, the visuals of her like on the ship, like in chains, and all the other Grisha, like it was very, you know, it draws from real life. And so I think that it definitely needs a little bit more air to breathe, a little bit more room to breathe. And I hope that they work a little bit harder on like his redemption in the future and everything like that. But I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the chemistry and everything.
I agree. I think like it's gonna be, because I don't know, they're in this like weird place where it's like Nina needs to gain back his trust, but I feel like he also has to like do some learning and evolving himself. And I hope they don't only focus on Nina gaining his trust back. Because I'm like, there's
exactly.
You know, they should not even have been in each other's company if not for him. So I do love Matthias, and I really think he's such an interesting character. But yeah, like that's literally the core of his character, is unlearning that, like what he's been indoctrinated into for so long. So if they don't take their time with that, it'll be a total disservice to his character and their relationship and stuff. What do you think about him not having long hair? Everybody was talking about this. Everybody was talking.
Does he have long hair?
Yeah.
The Drusilla have long hair,
And like I know she mentioned like the Drusilla beard, but I know like that doesn't happen until you're inducted into being Drusilla. I think he's still like in training, maybe. But yeah, I was like, where's his long hair? Because like they made such a big point of like when Six of Crows happens, like how he's like close shaven because of like being in
Hellgate.
Yeah. So I was like,
oh my god, are they gonna shave his head completely?
I hope not, please, no.
Oh no, what if they do the long hair then? What if he like grew it out in prison and then that's when the long hair comes? I don't know. We would like to see it. We would like to see the long hair at some point.
I was like, the contrast wouldn't be there because his hair was pretty short in the prequel.
Exactly,
So I don't that was an interesting I was like, where's the hair? The long, luscious hair of this man. But it's so heavily ingrained in him. It would be an injustice, like you guys were saying, to be like completely 180, that he's like, oh, I'll work with you guys. It's fine. So yeah, I think they really need to give. Also, go ahead.
I was just gonna say he's got a superiority complex, like all the Fjerdans and Drusilla. Like they think that they know something no one else knows. Everyone else is beneath them. And that doesn't just go away the second you meet a pretty girl. Like that's not how it works. I think Nina was his introduction to a new way of thinking, but I don't like the work isn't done.
Exactly.
At all.
Yeah.
And that was such a big thing in the books too, because even at his end, at the end of the series, his work still wasn't done. Like it was just beginning. Yeah.
And then Nina took
Darius
up that
frozen
mantle.
again.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay.
No rules. Oh, am I here? I was
Yeah,
just
you're
gonna
here
say
now.
Nina took on that mantle. I was just saying that Nina took on the
exactly.
mantle. That
Mm-hmm.
but no spoilers, so that's all we'll say. Anything else about Nina and Matthias?
No, but in the comments, people were talking about like the amount of episodes there was and like how the pacing of the show was a little quick. Yeah, I agree, but honestly, hearing the reasoning behind that, because the creator was talking about how Netflix gave them the go-ahead for 10 episodes, but the budget was the exact same. So I think that, you know, sacrificing those 2 episodes was fine. I think that might have actually meant like there might have been a little bit of filler, if anything. So I'm glad that they kept the story concise. I think that they did the best that they could have done, you know, with like those 8 episodes. And I'm glad they used the budget on, you know, other things like the CGI and everything. Because even like, I mean, we haven't talked about it yet. We're 2 hours into this. We still have things to talk about. But like the CGI in some of the scenes, especially with like the sun summoning, it wasn't the best. So I'm just glad they used what they could on it. And it's just uphill from here, hopefully. So, but season 2 and on, those have to be 10 episodes.
Yeah, because as Alina's powers are going to get more developed, and she's going to be able to do some cool shit. So I hope that they have the budget to show it off. I said they should have at least 10 episodes. I don't know. We were speculating a lot about renewals and you know what's going to happen. I know that there was that tweet going around about how it was like a #1 consecutively for like a week, and how like previously the record was held by like Bridgerton and was it The Witcher 2. So like good things. I think season 2 is pretty much in the bag, not to jinx it, knock on wood. I don't know, we'll see. We can talk about like general secondary characters, so like Genya, David, Zoya, Baghra.
Genya was absolutely a standout for me. I was not expecting to love her as much as I did. That actress is amazing. Like she just brought so much to that very small role, and she just like her like screen presence. I was gonna say stage presence, but like her presence in the room was very, very big, and like she really held her own, and I loved her so much.
What do we think about the change of her not being ostracized by the other Grisha? Because in the books, it was like none of the girls liked her. Everyone gave her shit. She was very isolated. But Nadia and Marie were like fine. Like they were fine with her. And so I think it kind of maybe almost lessened the like I'm a Grisha without a color, because she was very much ostracized because of like her status as being like the queen's you know, personal servant. So I still thought she was incredible and she was amazing and I love her, but I think that that was a bit of a misstep in my opinion.
I actually think that there were some Alina Genya scenes that were cut. I saw something on TikTok that was talking about this. I think there were some scenes between them that were cut. So I think that honestly was probably part of the dialogue that was cut, because there was just nothing about her, like, you know, her kefta was completely like the same color. And obviously that was different, but we didn't get any reasoning in the show as to why that was. So I think that there was some stuff of hers that was cut for sure.
And I think
I'm sorry to say.
Oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say I'm sorry to say she looked better in the white. I liked her in the white. When she showed up in the red kefta, I was like,
it looked like a cream. It was really nice.
I was like, look, your kefta looks better than some of these other people's. Like, the lack of color is.
I will say.
I'm sorry, Sammira, I interrupted you.
So I think it also plays with the fact that, like, if we got more backstory, like significance specifically with the keftas, like the different colors, like what the significance is, I think then it would be like, oh, wait, so she has a different color. Like, what's the significance? So I think that's, like, another thing they had to sort of choose and, like, sacrifice and be like, okay, like, we can't really talk about it because we didn't really explain or go into depth of, like, the significance of the different colors. So I think that's another thing. And, like, I think we talked about this as with Zoya, too. Like, there were some things with the side characters like we didn't really get a lot, and like they sacrificed for the sake of the show and the pacing, which is understandable.
Yeah.
But yeah.
You guys brought up Zoya, so I'm gonna just steamroll ahead into that one because I was not a huge fan of how they portrayed my girl. I get it. Okay, so here's the thing. I do not like that they made her relationship with the Darkling sexual and romantic. I really didn't like it because we had such few scenes of her that it made her. So, like, what scenes do we have of her? We have the beginning where she flirts with Mal and wants to sleep with him. We've got her sort of once again talking with Mal. Like, that was kind of like a throwaway scene. I honestly didn't really. Then we have her being like calling, being a bitch to Alina. I hated that. Like, it was book accurate, but then they added that racist comment, and I was like, I know some people said that it was probably a marker of her own internalized racism.
Yeah, internalized racism.
Yeah, very much.
And I was like, still. And then we got the fight where once again she brought up Mal and the fact that they had sex even though they didn't. And then we get the scene of her propositioning the Darkling. So everything that she did was somehow like a lot of times related to sex and sleeping with men. And like, yes, that was something that she did, but that wasn't the like in the first book. It was a lot of just like mystery of like, this beautiful woman and everyone wants to be with her, but is she with anybody? We don't know. And like many of the other Grisha, her admiration and relationship with the Darkling was almost this like godlike adoration for him. And Genya even mentioned like, if he propositioned me, hell yeah, I'd do it. But like, so it was almost like everybody wanted to sleep with him or be be anything they could possibly be to him. Like whatever he asked, they would do it. So I didn't like that they made it this like sexual thing because it made it seem like her dislike for Alina was purely like jealous, like a sexual romantic jealousy, when in fact I think it very much has to do with her own insecurities and her background of wanting to be feared and wanting to be the best and wanting to stand out. And now Alina's the one who's getting that like reputation and attention. The mentioning of her, I think it was too much of a turnaround from her going from like disliking Alina to like being on her side almost. Like that takes a while in the books. Like even towards the end of the Grisha Trilogy, Zoya's there's still like some kind of like not really feeling it. Like they respect each other, but they're not the best of friends.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, in general, it was like these small, like of course I still love her and I think she's iconic, but it was just these small changes that because she is a secondary character with little screen time, it really like warped her character.
It cheapened her. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, that's I'm now I'll step off the soapbox because I have to talk about my best girl for a second. What do you guys think?
I think it cheapened her, yeah, like you said.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really delved that much into like King of Scars and everything, so I don't really have like too much of an opinion on her in the book. But yeah, I agree with everything in the show. I think that there was reasoning behind some of the stuff that was going on, but also, like you said, like since we didn't see her much, it was kind of just like, okay, like what are y'all really trying to do here? But hopefully going forward, like this is one of the things, like going forward, please do better. You know, like it wasn't, you know, it wasn't totally egregious. It was, you know, kind of not great. But from here on, please do better for
especially
what y'all are doing in the writing room.
Yeah, like Alina was handled as well. I feel like they introduced it but never really followed up as to why that was there.
Yeah.
Like I know with the Shuhan, they were just like, oh, the Shuhan border like guard their mountains.
Yes.
Okay. So please go into detail in season 2, hopefully, as to why that's so important that she's being treated so badly. So
I think I think especially because like me knowing where Zoya ends up at the end of the series, like people are not gonna like that if they're not invested in her and didn't see that development. Like that's the payoff of seeing like where she starts like as this like stereotypical mean girl to who she becomes through like depth and understanding of her character.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think people are really gonna fuck with it if they're not connected to her. And I don't imagine anyone who's just watching the show would feel that connected to her. So yeah, who else? David, the cutest thing ever, literally stole the entire show again. Like, besides Jesper, I was like, yes.
Throwing the book.
Yes, a literal icon. The fact that when the Darkling told him to stay in the carriage, I felt bad. I was like, oh my god, no.
Yeah.
And the fact that
Yeah.
the Darkling,
No, he was
I don't
super
understand that.
that he was like, yes, David,
Yeah.
please.
Literally.
It was really cute.
The fact, and the fact that there was like no one else around, like that was the thing. Like if there had been other people around, like sure, but it was just like them three. He was like, and he was like the fact that he also just got beat the fuck up. He was like, let me still raise my hand though. Like, yeah, I also really enjoyed because like there's a difference between him and the books because in the books I feel like he's way more like he didn't really interact with Genya. There was no like inkling that he liked her back. He just like hauled himself up in his when he helped the Darkling with the collar, like we don't really get the sense that he felt bad about it until later in the books. But like in the show, he's like crying when he puts it on her. He's like, you can see the physical toll it's taking on him. You can tell that he doesn't want to be doing this. Which I thought was a really interesting like addition, and I really felt for him in that moment. Like I was mad at him, but I was also like, oh man.
They humanized him a lot more because in the books, like you said, like he was just there. He was always holed up in his little studio. But I like that they humanized him, especially like the Winter Fate, like the what? Not I don't even know if you can call it interaction, but like he and Genya were like looking at each other. I said,
yeah,
that was so cute.
Really
I
cute.
loved it. And it's just little things like that add so much to those side characters. So I'm really excited to see more of that going forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. What do we think of Baghra?
An icon. I love her.
Cool.
Yeah, I liked her.
She did what she had to do.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I thought it was interesting in that the flashback scene where it almost seemed like she was telling Alexander to like not help people. I forgot exactly what she said, but it was almost like she was saying like, I taught you things so that you could protect yourself, and like he was like, we need to stand here and fight, and she was like, no, we need to leave, which I thought was interesting because I'm like, oh, see, in that moment I side with you, Alexander. Like Baghra, like what the fuck, like you're just gonna abandon everybody. So in that moment I was like, interesting, because now I'm like, okay, so then who's right? So then when Alexander tells Alina in that tent scene, are you really gonna believe her? I'm like, okay, I guess I can kind of see his point. She does in general seem to not really give a shit about the greater good almost in that instance, but then she's also, it felt like Baghra was against the Darkling. It's not that she necessarily wants to save the Grisha, it's that she wants to stop Alexander.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like, you're like, I like what you did for Alina, but also you're shady, and I don't know if I like you entirely. So
I was worried too, like when Alina was escaping, she was like, go to the room with like the food storage, and I was like, you don't know what she's gonna do to you, so that's why like everyone was like, why didn't she listen to Baghra? I was like, because Baghra,
I really like that.
Yeah, like her intentions aren't clear. Like you said, she just wants to stop the Darkling. At what cost? We don't know. So who knows what
she's willing to kill Mal. I was like, you don't know that boy. I think about him. Like shit.
I was so mad.
Like I know that she doesn't. I think I was watching it with my mom. Mom's like, oh, she doesn't know that like Mal's important to Alina. I was like, I don't think she would care if she knew.
No,
she would kill him. She wouldn't care. Like like, damn, lady, you and your son need therapy. You kind of fucked up with that. Someone literally said, I feel like Baghra fucked up as a mother.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
Also, like,
doesn't she have, like, a really tragic backstory?
I think maybe?
Like, she killed her sister with the cut, I think.
Huh?
Like, when her powers were, like, manifesting.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
True.
Yeah, so she has, like, a different view of, like, their powers than Alexander does. So, yeah, it's really
true. Also, like, not this is not spoiler, but I think you guys would get the gist of what I'm saying. Like, with Mal's identity towards the end of the books, like, his importance, it's interesting to see how much Baghra actually knew about his identity. Like, maybe she was trying to get rid of him for a reason. Maybe not necessarily that he was close to Alina. Maybe she knew more than she was letting on.
Yeah.
So maybe.
possibly,
That's
because like
true.
Listen,
That
yeah,
is
I
true.
literally
like-
forget about that like spoiler all the time,
Yeah.
and then I get hit with it. I'm like, oh yeah, shit, okay.
her henchman comes in
Yeah.
and she was like, oh, like he told the Darkling like where the amplifiers, and it seems like she had like this fail-safe plan of like what would happen when. So it's like it begs the question how much she knew, especially like with her backstory, like the significance of her backstory and all that.
Yeah.
Like to see how much
Yeah.
she actually knew and like what her intentions were behind trying to off Mal. So that was something I just thought of. I said, ooh, that's a solid.
I didn't even think about that, so
No,
good on you.
neither
My
did
mom
I.
actually called. Again, we're like 2 hours in, so my mom called that Mal was what the fuck's it called? An amplifier. She called it. I don't know how. She was like, I think he has some type of powers that helps her power. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. So we talked about all the characters. Is there anything like in general about the show that we want to talk about before we go into like more spoilery territory and season 2 predictions? Yes, Mariam.
The concept of the crossovers, the Kaz and the Darkling and the Alley, the Alina and Inej.
No, I really wanted them to fight. Like, I really wanted them to fight.
Yeah, exactly. That he just poof disappeared. I was like, I wanted more out of this interaction. I thought we were gonna get like.
I want a rematch.
Like just like the alternate universe that they have created, I need that. I love it. I love everything about it. Inej nailing the Darkling with that knife. Hello, are you kidding?
Iconic.
Are we kidding?
So
amazing.
good.
Absolutely amazing.
The entire like ship scene. It was dark as fuck. I honestly couldn't see half the time, but
yeah.
I was like, I know people are interacting and I love it. I can't see it, but I love it. Like,
yeah.
It was great. It was great. Also the like Mal Crow's team up. I was like, that's
why do
cute.
I want him to be a crow now? I
Me
literally
too.
want him
I
to
was
be a
like,
crow.
maybe that's how they're gonna do, like continue the crossover.
It was too good.
So good.
It was too good.
I don't know why.
love
I
it.
feel
And
like
like
him
the
and
meetup
Wyland. I feel like him and Wyland would like each other. I really do.
Yeah, they would have
I
like
see
an
that.
unlikely
I see that.
friendship.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Kaz
Yeah,
was
someone
like,
said those scenes, it felt like fan fiction. It really did.
Yes, absolutely.
It really did. But in a best way, though. It was like
yes, absolutely.
very satisfying. But also, okay, there was like 2 things, one about Malina and one about the Darkling and Mal that I noticed upon my multiple rewatches. So the first episode, they were Alina and Mal were talking about like reminiscing about the orphanage, and they're like, oh, what were the things that Anna Kuya would always tell us? And so they're like, 1, don't show your emotions in front of other people.
Yes.
You always like find something to defend yourself. I was like, okay, didn't really think about it. But when she goes to the palace and she's by herself the first time, what are the first things she does? She shows her she's by herself and she finds a weapon. I was like, okay, I like this parallel. And then in the first episode, was it first episode? I think it was 7 and 8, probably, when the Darkling went into Mal's tent and he was like, oh, I don't need to kill you. Time will do it for me. And then the reverse of episode 8, when Mal was like, oh, I don't need to kill you. Your past will do it for me.
Yes.
I was like, yes.
I will say, like, you know, I have my thoughts about the Darkling, whatever. That monologue that he gave to Mal was one of my favorite moments of the show. Like, just the way that it was delivered. Because, like, I have done, like, you know, monologues and stuff in the past, like, acting stuff. But the way that he delivered that monologue was so good. And I loved it so much. But the parallel, too, was amazing.
Yeah. It was a really good insight into his thoughts. Like, once again, his idea. Because, like, I don't know, like, I think it says a lot about him because, like, if you live hundreds of years, you become so desensitized to things. Like, people don't matter. Like, things don't matter. Death doesn't matter. And he's saying, like, Alina will eventually get to that point where she will forget you and she will no longer be angry with me about it. And I was like, you know what? He might not say
he's kind of right,
wrong. He might. I mean, if I lived that long, I'm sure that I just would be like, yeah, okay, you know, you're the only person around.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Okay.
Like, I'm like, yeah. So I loved that speech. I loved it. It was really, I also thought it was hilarious when he called him a child. I was like, okay. I don't know. Like, I really like.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say you have no chance, Shadow Man.
Oh yeah!
That was hilarious. That was
And, like,
hilarious.
when Jesper calling Alina a walking
That hurt me a
sunbeam.
little bit. I was like,
Yeah.
oh yeah.
Yeah. It was good.
Oh man.
Very good.
I think the writing was just so smart.
I was also gonna say, like, if we're talking general things, I just think the show like looked amazing. Like, it was just so gorgeous, and the fact that like the things were like they were like actual sets that they built. Like, it wasn't just like CGI.
Yeah.
Give me 1 second, you guys. Mom, it's the third drawer. It's that one. It's that one. Mom, it's that one. Give me 1 second. No. It's that one. Fucking give me 1 second.
Not this.
It was
again. God office. Oh. Oh, sorry. My mom texted me and she was like, "Can I borrow your headband?" And I was like, "Yeah." "Can you come in quietly? It's on the third drawer." And she was like, "Which drawer?" Sorry, guys.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Oh my god, that was so funny. What was I saying? Yeah, the show looked good. That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, it did. It really did. I just love that it was basically movie quality like the entire time. I loved like the budget that was put into it, and also just the locations that they used and everything. Like they didn't use the green screen unless they really had to, it seemed.
Yeah.
So it was really great.
And I love the fact that like since we had the dual POV kind of between Six of Crows and Grishaverse trilogy, like before they ever converged timelines, I guess you could say, I love how the lighting, like even just the lighting, showed like the different locations. So like the Crows were very much like one tone, and then like Grisha trilogy were very like neutral. So I don't know, that was just a small thing, but I love how like that helped contrast the different timelines or like different sets of characters. Because again, if you hadn't read the books, you wouldn't know that they're completely different people. So I feel like that was sort of like a nod towards readers saying, hey, we know these are two different entities, but like this is how we're going to converge it. Also, I will say the Crows had the best soundtrack out of everyone. Like every time they were on scene, they had the best. Like I will
Sammira is our soundtrack like goddess. She's like constantly being like this track, like talking about the motif of like the music.
We understand. I was like, y'all don't
I love it. I love it. She'll like connect. It's incredible. But I never pay attention to music. Like, so I appreciate your perspective on like how it like amplifies the story.
Like for me, like I noticed this is strange. Like with K-dramas specifically, like that's how I know I'll love a show is based on their soundtrack. I don't know. That's just something I noticed.
Fair.
And like now, like I never really paid attention to it with like movies in that regard, but I just I was like, ooh, this song slaps. It adds to the overall.
Because K-dramas will repeat a song like hundreds of times, so you better like that fucking song. You better really like that fucking song.
Many.
Like,
oh my god,
literally, you'll hear it 4 times an episode.
And
so
the song that plays whenever they kiss, it's the same thing.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, I just thought, I was like, that's just a really cool element to it, I guess. So it adds to the height, what would you call it? The stakes. It adds to the stakes like when it's like really high paced, especially like with the heist. And like when they introduced heists and like Jesper was like, oh yes, it's time for a heist. I was like, here we are going to like their comfort zone, I guess you could say, like what they're known for. So like we're starting to get that introduced and hopefully get more of it season 2. So
there's a lot of
someone just commented something.
Sorry.
You can go.
I was gonna say, should we move to like predictions and theories?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it. All right, everyone, just to let you know, we are moving into spoilers. We will be talking about future Grishaverse books. We will be talking about predictions. We're gonna start off with this comment from I think it's Issa, because it's a really good one. So this is your warning. Hop off. Let's go. Ooh. Oh wait, no, is this it? No. Was it Isa or was it? Oh no, it's Martina, my bad. Yes, here it is. I like the
That
Darkling.
sounds so interesting. That sounds so interesting. Like this never occurred to me.
Yeah.
Everyone,
would like
I
to
think
see it.
there's like a fandom consensus that we wish Alina had kept her powers. Like
Yeah.
everybody kind of like
Yeah.
wishes it.
Definitely.
So this, like,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
This.
Talk about development and taking into
Okay, Martina.
consideration.
Okay.
Okay. Round of
Galaxy
applause.
Brain.
'Cause big brain energy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, that's a.
But also
sorry. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. We're still talking about this. Yes, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna talk about the one from Issa about the season 2 and 3. I personally don't think they're gonna wait that long. Like I don't think that they're gonna just do like Season Storm, Ronin Rising, and then do Six of Crows. Like it's pretty clear that I think they're gonna go into like the Hellgate situation in Season 3. So I think they'll just continue like mashing both plots, but now I think they're gonna find a very clever way, hopefully, to bring in the Six of Crows situation from the actual books into the same situation. Like I was telling them in the group chat, I think I was telling y'all, was it? I've been talking about it with everyone, but like about like the Darkling and like how they could possibly bring in like the Jurda Parem or whatever it's called. I was thinking like maybe even like the Darkling could like start to invest into that sort of thing to like heighten the Grisha's powers. Like that would be an interesting way to combine both of the stories, in my opinion. So I think that it can be done, and it can be done interestingly and in a clever way for them to bring it together.
The Darkling with access to Jurda, I don't even want to
that would be interesting, right?
It
very dangerous.
Yeah. And Mariam, you mentioned like if they tried to go book by book, it would they would have to add a lot of stuff that I don't think fans would really like. Like I agree. I think that like if it was seasons 2 and 3 of like more made up shit, I think people would get tired of it. Book fans and show fans alike. So yeah, I think that definitely they're gonna like have the Hellgate and like that plot line moved up. Yeah. So we're also gonna be getting Nikolai. Oh,
also, okay. I was hoping that they were gonna pull like a To All the Boys situation where like that the last episode we're gonna be like.
I thought that too.
I was like, we're gonna get Sturmhond at the end, but then we just got the Darkling last scene, which I mean that was like an epic last scene to end on. And like I feel I even skimmed. I pull a Marvel, and I was like, okay, let me skim the after credits.
Yeah,
I'm gonna make a cameo. But okay, in regards to like, talking about they're going to integrate the two. So do you think possibly that like season 2 could be more Six of Crows related, at least book 1 wise, and then maybe like sort of get Mal and Alina out of that storyline, they could introduce Nikolai. And so he would like sort of bring them back into. So like that's what I was thinking. I was like, I feel like they're gonna put more focus because do you guys think they're going to Ketterdam? I feel like that's insinuated. Maybe. Yeah. So I think
someone just said. I think is it Chiara or Kiara? He said he wants to spend more time in Ketterdam in season 2.
I hope so.
So yeah.
Like I was saying in the group chat the other day, I genuinely think that the writers are going to gauge the audience like interactions and reactions, and I think that they're going to give us so much more Crows in season 2. Like it's definitely going to be a big thing for them.
And if we get Alina and Mal helping them out, maybe initially getting into Hellgate.
Yeah.
I feel like the last episode when Kaz was like, oh, if he's not on the Darklings team, he's with our crew. I said, ooh, I would love. And then I feel like I hope they play some sort of role and then like they kind of like sail away with Nikolai and maybe like season 3, they'd go back to the Grishaverse, maybe, possibly. So I trust the writers after what we've seen in season 1, how they kind of like keep stuff original while also like morphing the two canon wise. So I feel like that would be really interesting.
Yeah. I also feel like if they left, like they can't leave Matthias in Hellgate because people will forget about him. Like they were already such a small part of the first season. Like they gotta bust him out quick because
really quick.
I mean everyone's gonna forget. So yeah, I don't think they can.
I mean, they already need Nina's help. Like that's where we left off. So for her to agree to help them, yeah, it's gonna happen real quick.
But also, we're gonna have to like deal with the consequences. The fact that they didn't come back with Alina, so that's sort of insinuating like what's gonna be the situation with Inej. With they haven't even introduced Per Haskell either, so that would be cool.
I know someone mentioned that in the chat previously about them not including him. Or like a while ago. This is an interesting one.
Yes.
Since we're gonna be seeing
I was thinking about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because like the shoe, like they also wait, is this a spoiler? Like they also have like hunt Grisha and kill Grisha. Like there's a complexity to the dislike, you know? It's you know, and I feel like it would be great to explore that. Like why are these countries at war? Why do they dislike each other? Like what's going on there? Because they have real reasons to hate each other, but then they're also just like fucking racist towards them. Yeah. So
I hope we get that in season 2, and like also the interaction. I think that's what I was saving for when we talk about theories. It would be really interesting to see Tolya and Tamar interact with Inej because they share similar faith. Yeah, that would be really cool to see. And I hope we get that interaction, how brief that may be, but I think that would be really cool.
Honestly, I think they're probably just gonna put Nikolai and Tolya and Tamar in Ketterdam to begin with, and that's where everyone's gonna meet up, and then they're gonna diverge from there.
We're gonna be in the docks. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I have to put this one up because I think it's hilarious.
I thought that too.
I like him, and then that slimy bitch. Like I actually was starting to like him, and then.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really thought that too. I was like, oh, they're like, oh no, Sturm on who? Let's go for conductor.
Yeah. I like that plot line, but thank God they didn't make him Nikolai. No, no, they would have had a problem on their hands. But what else about season 2?
Someone said I just hope that the Darkling will not be reduced to a cartoonish villain. He has so much potential. I don't think Ben Barnes is going to let that happen.
Yeah.
I think he will be in that writer's room like, you better fix this.
Fix this, I don't like this, yeah.
With the fact that like, he literally has an itemized list of Darkling quotes. He'd be like, on page 83, he says this. Yes. So what you wrote is wrong.
I have it highlighted, underlined.
Yeah, he would never. Yes. He's the bitch who does annotations when it's not even asked for homework. Like, that's him. So no, I don't think he would be able to. I don't think they would do that to him. If anything, I hope they give him more complexity and like. I don't know. Let him go. Let him be a bit unhinged. Let Alina be drawn to him. Let Alina run into similar issues. Let her think, okay, I can see how he went down that path. I can see that happening. I think that if anything, I wish they'd do that. Yeah. I'm so excited to see Nina's Drita Param storyline later. I don't know what's gonna happen, but
it's gonna hurt me so much. It's gonna hurt
but I'm gonna love it.
But I can't stop thinking about the Drita Param being used by Darkling. Like that just opens up so much.
They need to be in that writer's room.
Yeah. And like their interests would be aligned again, because then like the Darklings like coming in with like their whole heist situation. So now I'm not gonna stop thinking about that.
And
now
I just think it makes so much sense for him to be the one to invest money into like finding out how they can become stronger.
Yeah,
it makes so much sense. So it's right there. It's right there.
And then to add on to it, I just thought of this. So in like this season, it's insinuated or like it's said that Nina's like a spy for him. So whenever she gets the Drita Param, it could sort of be like, oh, the person that was working alongside you is now turned against you because they used something that you were investing in. So I feel like that would be a really cool showdown situation. That it's like, oh, like someone who was so aligned with my interests is now against me because of something I was doing. So
oh no,
I don't know.
This
That's
new
Did Lee
comment
really
just crushed
say
their
that?
dreams. Did Lee really say that? Someone said that they won't overlap.
I didn't know.
I hope that changes.
Oh,
I know. I hope that
yes.
changes.
There's plenty of time. There's plenty of time for you to change your mind, Miss Lee.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What else? Predict. Wait. Oh, did I freeze again? Hello.
No, you're
I'm
good.
back. Hello.
No, you're good.
Okay. I hope. I can't wait to see, even though it will pain me and I feel bad, I really am excited to see Genya's storyline of scars and then the I know
I am
metal
not ruined.
conversation.
I am
Gonna
not
be
ruined.
yes,
I'm
I am not
ruined.
like Daisy Head has such like I tweeted about this. She has a deep voice. Like when she says that line, all other characters will be ended. Like it won't like they won't be able to stand a chance. Like I can't wait. I can't
No.
wait. It's gonna be so good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
So
I'm excited. Yeah. What else is there? Anyone have any final headcanons you want to throw out or questions? This is also to the chat. I just want to say I love how much the cast love each other. I hope that never changes. I hope
Yes.
that I've seen it happen where fandom can affect cast relationships, and I
Yeah.
really hope that doesn't happen. I
Yeah.
love I just truly I love them.
Yeah.
Every single one of them.
They
is a gem.
seem to be in a good place of like it doesn't really seem like they are too much like online or anything like that, like tapped
Yeah,
in.
Yeah.
So hopefully, it stays like that and they just kind of stick to, doing the show and, whatever. Someone in the comments was saying like they don't think that the Darkling would like the Jurda because it kills the Grisha. I think that they could, I mean, just for me, like, because I think it would be interesting, I think that maybe they could change that storyline a little bit just to make it, like, adapt to that story. But who knows? Yeah, you're right, like, for how it is, like, straight up in the book.
Yeah.
But I think that it could be changed if they really wanted to, but we'll see.
Yeah. Issa saying that they should explore Alina's villain arc. I agree. Have we talked about Ivan and Fedyar? Briefly, we said that they were
A little
adorable
bit,
because
yeah.
they are.
Love.
Render
Yeah.
husbands, they're great. Ivan better be alive. Yeah. So that's all about them.
Oh,
Okay.
one thing that just came
Yeah.
to mind was how like Alina didn't get to use the cut in the end and everything like that. I thought that that was actually a good choice though, because we didn't even get to
Yeah.
see enough of her training to understand that she had that sort of power. So I think that that was a good call for them to wait on that. Maybe like at the end of season 2 or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a good call in my book.
Yeah. It's gonna be a big moment for her, so they should definitely save it.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I wonder if they'll reveal Jesper being Grisha early on and have him actually like use the power eventually. I would like to see it. I really would.
That would be cool.
I would too. Because it's not like a huge thing. Like it's something that they could push up in the timeline if they really wanted to, and I think that they could do it well. So yeah, I would be interested to see that.
Yeah. Do we think what's gonna? Because like, is Nikolai gonna be a love interest? Because the way that they positioned it, because like in the first book, I don't know. Like I feel like it made sense in the books almost, and like it was like became this like love square almost. But like I don't know. I feel like Mal and Alina, because they also haven't kissed, so it's like they're not definitely romantic yet. It would kind of be weird
Which
to
I
throw
like
him in
that
there.
as well.
No, yes, I definitely
like
think they should have waited on the kiss.
Yeah.
Wait on it. Wait on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. Is it going to be, or are they going to just have him flirt a bit and then start the Zoya Nikolai like love like thing earlier? I don't know.
I think it's going to be kind of the same as it was in the books, because to me, I never even toyed with the idea that it was going to become canon. Like he was more like propositioning like, hey, we could be really powerful if we ruled together. But Alina was not really feeling it ever. Like she maybe was like, that would be a good idea, but I'm not going to do it. So I think that it's gonna be more like that. Like he's just gonna be charming with everyone, I feel, just like how he is in the books. And so yeah, I don't think it's gonna be like outwardly romantic, maybe like a little hint, but yeah, I don't think so.
And like the fact that like you were saying, like they haven't kissed yet. So it's like they're on good terms. Alina and Mal, they're on good terms, but they haven't really explored how deep their feelings are for each other yet. They just know that they're important to one another.
Yeah.
So I feel like if they wait on that until Nikolai comes into the picture, then that would add a whole other level of angst or layer of angst.
Yes.
Because when he's like, hey, we could be this thing, and she's like, oh, I still don't know what my stance or like what Mal's stance is on me. Like I know he has feelings for me, but like to what extent? So maybe if they wait until that whole storyline's introduced, I feel like it would add more dramatic effect. So yeah, I feel like they would wait, possibly.
Yeah. Cool.
Oh, that comment about Jesper's interesting. I didn't notice that.
Oh, let's see. I did not
I
notice
didn't
that
notice
either.
that.
I didn't notice that.
That's cool.
I need to start rewatch the season and only look at the background, like the background characters.
Yeah. I really liked just like the little details that they put in for the book readers, like when Matthias was looking at that wolf hanging on the wall, and just those small things like that. I thought that those were so interesting. Like it's so small that you don't really pay attention to it, like if you're, not a book reader or whatever. But in the future, it's probably going to have significance. And when it does, we can go back and see the foreshadowing.
Yeah.
I think we talked about this earlier, that it was something, not the right move. And we hope that she feels like some guilt and shame about it and actually has like a reckoning with that. And also the guy that she like blinded, I'm guessing. Just like a reckoning with the fact that her powers can be like fatal.
Deadly.
So, yep. Once again, we want to see like Alina dip her toe into the dark side a bit. It's always fun when heroes do that. Yeah, I think that's all I have left to say. Anything else?
So too.
Yeah.
We're just waiting on that season 2 order.
Literally, I'm waiting. The fact that, like,
I check Insta and Twitter every day. Like, where is it? Where is it?
I have their notifications on.
Yeah,
I'm down bad.
I've never turned on notifications for anyone, like as much as I love them.
I'm down horrendous.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I'm just petty because I'm like, why is it that like Bridgerton already like got 2 and 3, like seasons 2 and 3, and I'm over here like, hello.
No, they got 4, baby. They're on season 4 right now. I actually am so excited for the next season of Bridgerton.
The budget for those does not even need to be all that. So I mean, for probably costuming and stuff like that, but they have all their sets and everything, so they're good. They're good to go. They just be in the house, people visiting each other's houses. That's the entire show.
Exactly.
So, they're fine.
Well, yeah, that's probably why. They're like, oh, it's
that's literally just Regency stories. It's just people going over to each other's houses for tea. And I eat that
I eat it up. I eat it up.
I love it.
Yep.
Yes. I love what we're talking about Bridgerton now. Can't wait for season 2. Kate and Anthony Supremacy. Okay, I think that's, I'm not seeing anything too new. Oh, a Zoom event next Saturday. Ooh, that.
Okay.
That makes sense. And maybe they'll have like a something. That's a good idea. I will be tuning in. Okay, so that's it. Thank you to my lovely co-hosts for coming. This was super fun. I love talking to you guys. Thank you to everyone in the chat who chimed in. Go check them out. I have their links down below. They're awesome, amazing creators, amazing people. And yeah, bye.
Bye.